Welcome, family. For anyone that doesn't know, my name is Leon Noble. I basically have just made up a word called vibrology, which essentially is a study of vibration. And I've realized, in hindsight, that especially the last 10 years, I would say, and definitely proactively the last 4 years, has been about understanding harmony because I'm trying to find this thing called peace. I'm trying to find this thing called balance. I'm trying to find this thing called equanimity. And in order for me to do that, I have decided to work out how energy moves, how energy works, how it resonates throughout your body from a mind, body, and spirit perspective. And that's led me down certain avenues and tunnels and portals, rabbit holes. Literally down certain rabbit holes. And so for the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've went down a new rabbit hole. Something that the universe just kept on hitting me with. So I've just been down a whole bunch of put my phone on silent. Just been down a whole bunch of synchronicities. I went down a whole bunch of synchronicities and yeah, just put my phone on silent. So no interruptions. All right, cool. Yeah, so just had a whole bunch of synchronicities happen where had about 6 to 7 synchronicities around music, where I kept on bumping into people that were into music. I met someone that was a manager of a famous artist. I met someone that owned a studio. You know, I met a musician. I was just meeting people that were just into music. I met someone that literally did videography for the hip hop, like my version of hip hop, like UK hip hop, basically when I was growing up. Like they knew all of my favorite artists, basically, and they were in on the scene. I was like the main photographer, and um, some of these people were talking about ways in which they saw music. Basically, they were talking about ways in which they saw music, and obviously, I'm into vibration, so I understand music is vibration. Obviously, harmony. We all know that. Basically, there's nothing new that I'm saying there, but there were certain angles where I was just, as usual, just joining dots. I would say one of the skills and one of the things that I feel that is within me is the ability to just connect dots. So I'm having 5 or 6 conversations randomly, but these are like some of these conversations are like mind blowing. Like the people themselves are pretty mind blowing. I'm having interesting conversations. They say something about music, I'm like interesting, so on and so forth. So after about the 7th to 8th synchronicity, we I basically worked out a tool that I'm going to build, this tool that I'm going to build. And it's like downloads, isn't it? Like, everyone talks about downloads basically. So in this particular this particular download, like it's not my first download, but this download was so massive that for once I didn't greet it with like gratitude. It was quite interesting actually. Speaking of gratitude today, I didn't receive it with gratitude. I actually was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I kind of smiled when I said it, but I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, because I was like, the amount of I could see that this was an actual at least 3 months worth of work, but potentially this was potentially like another thing to add into the life mission, into the vocation. So I've got the wellness center, and the universe is a joke. Basically, this is the funny thing. The universe is a joke because I've got the wellness center, and the wellness center does healing, and I've basically said the reason why I even had the wellness center is because I said I'm not a healer. I kept on saying I wasn't a healer until one day I said, why do I keep on saying I'm not a healer for? Let me just try it. And the first time I ever tried to heal someone, it worked. Or the second time I tried to do it in this same sitting, it worked. And then the next day, this person told me about what had happened to them, so on and so forth, which was just mind blowing, like a one in a million thing, like something I've never even heard anyone say on YouTube or anything like that. I was like, that's crazy. So, that then led me down the rabbit hole of healing. And then we get into this whole idea of, well, I just speciality of that, because obviously there's many different ways to heal. So the speciality is healing through vibration. So obviously we've got the Ma'at Vibrology Wellness Center. So yeah, this is a t-shirt by the way for it. So we basically go down this avenue, and then that leads me to come up with this word called vibrology. Now, this is where the universe is a joke. So I've said I'm not a healer. I kept on saying I'm not a healer. I'm not a healer. I was saying I'm not a healer for like 6 months, and then it dawned on me, why would I say I'm not a healer for when I've never tried it? I was just, I was literally in a conversation with two healers, and I was, why do I just say that to myself? Why do I cut off that aspect of myself? You know. So we then come up with this word vibrology. I've made it up. It seemed very obvious to me. It did not take me long. It wasn't a chat to people. It just literally was a simple thing about vibrology, the study of vibration. This is literally what the Wellness Center is about. So I was essentially the logic behind it is, um, if we want to look at the prime aspects of the universe, we must say that the prime aspects of the universe is vibration, and vibration basically manifests in two ways: sound and light. You know, so everything that I have then bought, all the technologies are sound and light healing devices. So I remember at the conference, so we basically launched the business at the exhibition, this exhibition that we did. And for some reason I kept on getting gravitated towards the healing, the sound healing devices, but they were more like fit sound bath devices. There was a whole bunch of sound bath devices. And I kept on getting gravitated to them. And I kept on saying, I'm not trying to be a sound healer. I remember saying this specifically. I said it about 4 or 5 times because that stopped me from buying stuff. Like literally, I was so interested. I was like, I would love to get that, but that's just not what I'm doing. I'm using sound healing in a very almost mechanical way. Using frequencies essentially, frequencies, rife machines, and so on and so forth. These things are. Check out some of my old videos. I talk about this stuff. Um, I'm not a sound healer. I'm not a sound healer. I'm not a sound healer. And I said that about 4 times in this exhibition. I'm not a sound healer. And this is where the universe is a joke, because the first person I meet that I connect with on the first day is this hip hop, or is this back in the day hip hop videographer, producer. Like he was just in the music scene. Um, you know, I didn't know this at the time when I met him. This was after we have built, and built up a connection and stuff. So that was like the first sequencing. So again, it was like I'm not a healer, then I'm not a sound healer, but then why are all of these people coming into my field? Why are all these people coming interfering in my life? Like I've already got a lane. I've got this vibrology thing. I've got this technology. So on and so forth. So why am I getting all of this interference? You know, why am I getting all of this interference? Like, it becomes a question basically. And then people are starting. Some of these people that are even asking for my help as well, or like these are people that I'm working with. So the the universe is a joke because, um I actually have kind of, I probably might even just change the title of the lecture, quite honestly, because at the moment it's called, what's it called? I gotta find what it's called. Would I name it? The universe's last joke. Undecidability. Because I was getting back into my theories of everything, how the universe works. And I always talk about the chaos, how to transform chaos into a superpower. It's one of my favorite videos. Go check that out. Go check that out on my channel. So I've got this idea of chaos theory, essentially. And I hear the most mind-blowing concept of chaos theory, which is that there are certain things that you can't know. There's certain things that just don't have an answer, which is it's not that we don't have enough information. It's even if we did have enough information, we still wouldn't know the answer, which is mind blowing to which is just a mind blowing concept. Um, because that takes chaos theory and ramps it up like times 10, basically, because even in chaos theory, so the original idea of chaos theory is just to reduce surprise, reduce the unpredictabilityness of the universe, and that you can do that by just knowing more information. And what undecidability says is that, it basically just goes back to the old edict is that a wise man will never know it all. So we have that as a principle, as an idea, as an acceptance for a way of being, basically. And that is quite odd for someone that's also into vibration and into astrology. So how do those two things again balance out? This is what the last, you can argue 2 to 3 months have been about, but definitely the last 1 month has been this idea of, because I'm working on certain projects in astrology, which is about events and timing, and it's mind blowing how accurate this stuff is. But even the person I'm working with on this is talking about this chaos factor, this unpredictability factor to the equations. And what I'm realizing is it's not anything that's wrong with the formula. It's just the formula, I would just say, needs to always, and I've said this before actually, this was what actually in terms of it's not that new of a revelation, which is that your formulas always have to build in chaos. If your formulas don't build in chaos, then it's always going to fail because the eternal now, the eternal presence is always looking to introduce new things into the system, into the field. That's how it grows. That's how it learns. The universe is an echo. The universe is a mirror. The universe is relational. And so it needs to introduce tension. Might be using a lot of strings today. It needs to introduce tension in order to stretch itself, in order to grow. So that's basically the kind of like the warm up, essentially. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to just be doing this. I've prepared some slides. It's mainly pictorial, so there's not like many words. There's almost no words in the slides. It's just we're going to be talking through certain images because these vibrations fall into sacred geometry. So we're going to be covering astrology. We're going to be covering sacred geometry. We're going to be covering music. We're going to be covering atoms. We're going to be covering ether, but all under the guise of this idea of vibrology or how vibration influences all of this and why or how we're still not going deep enough, in my opinion. Obviously, half of the time people are calling me to simplify everything and just keep things simple. But quite honestly, I will try to simplify complex things, or what we call the simplex, but understanding that the universe, that everything is vibrational, everything is relational. And so when we're trying to reduce things down to the simple, okay, we just need one and one, that must equal two. We're missing all of the flavors. We're missing all of the fabric. We're missing all of the layers, the dimensions of life in this desire to always want to simplify. And so we're going to speak about coherence and how coherence really works. So yeah, let's share the screen. And yeah, this is a massive one, quite honestly. Today's massive. It's definitely gonna be one I'll be referring people to for a while as well. All right, cool. Yeah, we should get that up here as well, actually. Cool. So share screen in three, two, one. What's going on there? Oh, there you go. Boom. All right, cool. All is atum. Boom. All is atum. Yeah, we're getting into it now. All is atum. So shout out to Santos Bonacci. Shout out to Santos Bonacci, legends. So all is atum, as Santos Bonacci says. So Santos Bonacci, for me, is who I grew up on as a syncretist. Basically, again, people that just join the dots, essentially. So for me, he's probably like the number one astrotheologist, so someone that joins the dots between astrology and theology, in a nutshell. And all is atum, i.e., all is atom. So atum is the Egyptian deity, and it's where we get the atom from. So all is atom. And the main thing about the atom is that it's empty space. It's essentially 99% empty space. And the physical universe is just like 1 to 2% of reality. And so the universe is relational. So, in a nutshell, all of the metaphysics that I've studied, I could boil it down into saying that the universe is relational. And I also like to say the universe is participatory because, it's people or things. These things interfere with each other, essentially. And so, what I'm doing, the level of synchronicity or the level of syncretism um, or the angle of syncretism that I've chosen to focus these ideas of connecting dots is connecting the dots of how frequencies influence everything. Everything is a vibration, everything is energy, everything is a frequency. And frequencies is the way of trying to understand the mathematical code behind these interferences, behind coherence, essentially. And so the universe is relational has led me down to this path, but it comes from a philosophical principle, which is not new, obviously based in ideas of oneness and holism. So, yeah, beautiful. I remember about my camera switching as well. There will be one day when I do that. So, the universe is fundamentally relational, a dance of intervals, angles, ratios, and resonances. That's where we're going with it, just to be clear. And so, what we're basically saying is that we've got the atom. So, we go from atom, which would be consciousness as the foundational principle of the universe. So, atom more speaks to the foundational consciousness of the foundation of the universe, the substrate of the universe, the essence of the universe is atom, which when I say the word atom, I'm saying it from a more conscious perspective, which then scientifically, traditionally was spoken about as ether. So you have consciousness and then you have energy. And that energy that pervades all, the energy of atom, is what would traditionally be called ether. And then that ether, which is non-physical, fully non-physical in all sense and purposes, that ether then manifests a mirror version of itself, a mirror reality, spits out an opposite aspect of itself, like a mirror reality called the physical realm, called the physical realm. And that physical realm manifests itself as atoms. Those atoms are, you know, made up of, from quantum realm, so on and so forth. And then that paints the bigger picture, which is obviously astronomy, the as above, let's just say, going into the down below, anatomy, and then we become anatomized. Anatomized. I love that word. Peace, 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 G-Wiz. So we then become anatomized. Yeah, today's one's gonna be big. For anyone joining, today's gonna be big. Like if I ever do hiatuses in YouTube, always know that I come back with something. I come back with some goodies. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we went to the depths. Went to the depths. So we then talk about we then go from to anatomy. So we get anatomized. We get anatomized, enlivened, with the essence, the primal force, spirit. We get That's the anatomy. We then get embodied into this realm from the atom into the anatomy. And then from there, we now have eyes where we can see the stars, which then, but because we're conscious, because we are the fusion of spirit and matter, energy and consciousness, because we are the fusion of that, we don't just look at the stars from an energetic perspective. We look at the stars from as a conscious observer. What does it all mean? That then leads into that births astrology because we start to see cycles. Every 28 days, you see a cycle of the moon. 29 days, depending on however you're measuring the moon. So we start to see cycles. What do they mean? Do you see what I mean? So, yeah, what are these numbers or what are these patterns, which would be the energy curiosity aspect? And then the conscious aspect is, well, then how is that relevant to us? So the universe is relational, which means that we're always searching for relevance. There is no worse thing in the world. That's the thing that makes you is when you don't feel like you've got any relevance in the world, when life has no meaning. There is no worse feeling than that. And then we start to get into astrology. And as I'll be teaching, the main thing that interests me as a vibrologist, as someone that's into vibration, the main thing that interests me when it comes to astrology are the relationships between the planets, between the bodies. And you learn about the relationships through aspects, Let me make this bigger. Oh, shizzles, mizzles. Make this bigger as always. Get rid of that as well. There you go. So yeah, we we learn about relationships through aspects, and then those aspects breed ratios, which brings us back into frequencies because all ratios can be quantized, can be summarized, and can be looked at from the perspective of ratios. And so today, what we're going to be covering a lot is the idea of a vibrational universe through the lens of sound, what they call music of the spheres, and what they call music of the spheres, and also astrology. So in a nutshell, I've basically built just to be just let's just spit it out from day dot. So basically, I've spent the last month, I would say, with this concept. I've had the idea and I just did nothing with it. I just sat on it for literally a whole month, maybe even 2 months. I've just been sitting on this idea of combining astrology with sounds. Astrology with sounds because I met someone. I went to someone else's wellness clinic and they had this app that combined astrology with sounds, and it cost £1,000. And I was looking at it, and even though I was really impressed and blown away by the fact that someone had done this, you know me, I'm a builder. I was like, I think I could do that myself. And I had other ideas already. So when I looked at their thing, I was like, although I love that as an idea, it still didn't do everything I wanted. So it had a particular way in which to bring to harmonize, So we basically convert the astrological table into a notation table, i.e., CBD, musical notes basically. And then it will give you your unique signature, your energy signature. So I can work out anyone's frequency based on their astrology. So that's why I literally went down to this person's healing center to go just get that, because that is something that I've wanted to do myself. I've had that as an idea for about 2 years. So for 2 years, one of my many quests has been to find out someone's unique frequency, someone's unique signature. I just had this hypothesis, just a belief that everyone had a unique signature. That's why, yeah, I've got my tools. I'm not prepared with all the tools today, but that's why we've got the biocoherence, my senses. If you've ever heard my lectures, my last 4 or 5, you've heard me talk about these frequencies, these biofeedback sensors that I'm now a distributor of, and that gives frequencies. Also, in that app, very specifically in the biocoherence app, they also convert your vibrations, your frequencies into music tones, and all of their sound healing frequencies, which I've only said a couple of times, but all of their sound healing frequencies are based on the unique tones, or the unique tone, your signature tone that is relevant within you at the time of the scan. And I'll let you know that it always changes, by the way, to be clear, because your energy is always changing. So every time you do the scan, you're often going to see a different signature depending on your mood, your emotions, timings. There's a whole bunch of research that needs to be done. What I keep on saying it, but at some point, I really need to just start this research group out, and I kind of just need to do it myself. Like I do it myself, but again, as usual, I just don't have that level of consistency. My worst trait is consistency, so I just don't have the consistency to be charting, or I haven't had thus far the consistency to be charting and mapping out the things that I need to map out in order to build up the data, so I can then look at the data and then see patterns within that data, within the data set. But, again, another tool that's being built is another incentive for me to get to this level where I start being consistent with my recording of data. Because every time I do record it and then compare it, because again, that would then be ratios. What we're doing in these comparisons is we're comparing what we call intervals, which is a musical term. We're comparing intervals. We're pairing with periods of time, essentially. So that's basically what I've been doing. I've basically built this tool that has got like 6 different tools. So that signature tool is just one tool that I've built. That's just one tab that I've built. Um, and I built that in a day, but then I built this. I've basically spent about 3 days building this prototype. I've still got more work to do, but just as a prototype, I'm really, really happy with what I was able to build in 3 days. So I literally just did that over the weekend, and 8 hours was completely wasted just trying to install one of these apps, one of these tools, because I had to do some coding. I'm not a coder. And I wasted 8 hours on something that was so simple in the end for the solution. It is what it is. So let's go back to sharing the screen. As always, any questions in the chat, let me know. I do have the chat up. I always kind of click off of it, but yeah, we'll click into it as well. So, all right, cool. We're back. Let's do the laptop screen one. Why not? All right, cool. So the universe is relational, and then now we get into coherence. So, like I said, I'm going to be sharing a lot of images. There's not much talking. So, a coherent system, as I always say, what you're basically looking at is the difference between a rock and a crystal. A crystal has a lattice, has a shape, has a topology, these are all real words, has a symmetry, a coherence to it, basically, a resonance, which allows energy. So when it comes to energy, basically, so the difference between a rock and a crystal is that this would be a crystal. So this would be the version of a rock. When you look under an electron's microscope, or just a real powerful microscope, when you look at a rock, there is no coherence. So it would look like this. A crystal would have some form of shape to it, some form of recognizable geometry. Yeah. And what we're basically saying is that when you are, so obviously we're relating this to many, many things. Peace, peace, peace in the building. Queen of Moods in the building. I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Peace, peace, peace. So what we're basically saying is when you are sick, this is what disease looks like. So when we're saying you are diseased, whatever aspect is diseased will look like this. There is no patterns, no ways for your energy to flow easily. Whereas here, immediately, the most beautiful thing about these images of why I went image first today is that it should just speak to your soul like music does. You know, we can technically break down music enough, so I'm going to do that a little bit today. But essentially, music just speaks to your soul. You don't need to understand the science of music in order to appreciate music. Obviously, we're going to get in a little bit into the science today. So, we're basically saying that when energy is like this, it becomes not efficient. It's not efficient. The system isn't running at a level which creates harmony because there is a dissonance, there is an interference, there is an incoherence, there is a disease. All of these words basically mean the same thing or boil down to the same thing when it goes to the essence. So it leads to an immense amount of incoherence, negative health impacts. So systems operating under principles of harmonic resonance are more efficient. Principles follow nature's path of least resistance. Yo, that's the bar. I didn't write this, by the way. So I'll let you know who wrote it in a second. I'm going to mention them. So the principles follow nature's path of least resistance. If the secrets to the universe are in that sentence, I'm going to say that one again. The principle to life, by the way, I'll just add my own thing. The principle to life is to follow nature's path of least resistance. Is the key to life. And you do that by building coherence. So as I've said to you quite a few times, as someone who does pattern recognition literally for a living, and when I mean for a living, just my liberty, literally my liberty is about being coherent and being balanced. And I'm not saying I always get there, but because I have a whole bunch of interference like everybody else. And so it always requires me to, what's that word? Pivot. Pivot back to balance. I feel like my life basically is just a story of pivoting back to balance. Literally, 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 literally. So the path of least resistance, which is what? Ease. The key word there is ease. So let's just say the opposite of disease is ease. The path of least resistance is ease. So we're saying that coherence equals health. I can't say that any more clearer. Because if you get that, then we can work together. We can go far. That's why, like I said, I've invested so much time into biocoherence because they get it. Although there's 100 other biofeedback apps out there, they get it because I've never seen a system that looks to understand the relationships more than the individual aspects of where the end result node is coming out shooting at that disease, which is all that they do in cancer, for example, or chemotherapy. Let's just hit this one thing and kill it, not recognizing that your whole body is holistic. Well, they do recognize it, but that's just the best that they can come up with for now. So they say, so principles follow nature's path of least resistance, which then leads to benefits for health. Cool. So we're gonna do a little story now, as usual. I've always got a story. You know me. This is me. So yeah, anyone that's used to my channel knows that I got stories. There's a couple of videos where literally I just tell a story for 3 hours. With my last video. The last video I did was just me telling the story of synchronicity, of events, and lessons around those events for 3 to 4 hours. And that was a video from 4 weeks ago, and that still impacted me now. The wave, the ripples of that event is still affecting me now, and as it's been called, will as we just got the download yesterday, will affect me until October at least. Until October, I've even been given a date. Like, oh, mad. So basically, yeah, this is mad. So when we talk about frequencies, again, this is a basic chart. So I'm basically saying that we're just going to the basics. Like, I'm kind of doing a 101 with this particular. I'm easing you guys in gently. This is my version because everyone knows chakras. So we have the chakras, and those chakras have been converted into frequencies. Even today, I just noticed that almost all of the frequencies are just a reversing of numbers, except for the 852. Except for the 852, if you look at these numbers, each one of these are just a flip, are just a mirroring. The universe is a mirror. Yeah. So 396 at its numerological root is obviously nine. It's not obvious, but it's obvious to me. So when I study numbers, it's nine. So this is a nine, this is a nine, and this is a nine. So your crown, look what they've done. I didn't make this up, obviously, but I've just noticed this today. I don't know how I've just noticed it today. Again, I'm on one today. Like I'm seeing code today. It's one of them days where I'm seeing code. So this is a nine, this is a nine, and this is a nine. What do you notice about these three chakras? These three chakras is your beginning, your middle, and your end. So your beginning, middle, and end is what? 999. Yeah, someone called 999. Yeah. And in your sacral and your throat chakra are 741s or variations of the number 7, 4, and 1. Oh no, I did get it wrong. Apologies. 528 and 825. Apologies. They are all mirrors. I don't know why I only noticed this now, quite honestly. I'm not sure why I only noticed this now. But the universe is a mirror is one of my favorite sentences ever. And I understand. So basically, I'm going to do some research later on. Like I don't want to do it now. But all chakras relate to notes as well. By the way, musical notes. So a lot of tuning forks, you'll get chakra tuning forks, and these will be in certain keys. I could find it out now, but like I actually do have a table somewhere. I just do it. I just don't feel to pull out right now. Just do it at my own time. But and the reason why I want to do that is I want to recognize, I want to work out the ratios because this whole idea is about ratios, and so I want to work out the ratios of and also the notes of these two of the pairs that we see, and then also the triple that we see here as well. So we've got two pairs and a triple relationship from the seven chakras. So yeah, like I said, I only noticed that today, and that basically just feeds into the story. So um I basically did a basically I did a healing session for someone yesterday. Again, new clinic. Still I'm still Alright, let me start sharing my screen. So shout out to the person who got received the healing yesterday. Hopefully she's watching or will watch at some point. So we had been prepared. We had been supposed to be meeting for time. Finally met yesterday. All right, cool, done. So I take my stuff to her house, And for some reason, I just woke up. I don't know what happened to me, but I just woke up and I wasn't really in the mood to do this whole healing session with like just the energy work kind of stuff. So I wanted to add divination. I was like, I'm gonna make this session more about divination, and then we're just gonna have the devices on in the background whilst doing the divination. So that's essentially what happened. Although the first 20 minutes, so the first 20 minutes was me setting up the devices, switching them on, just explaining whatever, whatever, and then just switching them on. But that happened for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And that in itself was incredible. Again, I don't have time to go through that part of the story, but yeah, it was an incredible healing session. That's all I'll say. Miracles did happen. Miracles were happening. So she does readings. She doesn't do them often. She doesn't sell it as a service. She's not a reader as a professional trade, but she does readings. She does tarot deck readings. Normally for herself, she does it for other people in limited spaces. But she was like, she wants to do me a reading. She wants to do a reading for me. This is one of the reasons why we was going to meet. So I was like, all right, cool. So we was kind of combining. So I was like, you go first. So she did a reading on me. That was so mad. This is my first ever reading, by the way. I do readings for people. Like, I don't get reading. I do readings. So this is my first time I've ever got read by anyone. And again, it spoke to this whole Lionsgate thing. Anyone watch my last video? I basically speak about the Lionsgate, this 88 portal. My name is 88. I have this resonance with the number 88. My full name is the number 88. I have this resonance with the number 88. I then go to Cyprus and I have this amazing experience at this funeral, which is a sad time, but it's all around this Lionsgate thing. That's all I'll say. Go watch the video, the last video, if you want to hear the full story. It's a 3 hour video of the story, by the way. It's about 50 different synchronicities of 50 different things. Anyway, so so basically, what the funny thing is, she pulls out. So she wanted to pull out these 6 cards. So she wanted to pull out 6 cards, and for some reason, she does the ones where when you shuffle. I don't know if anyone knows about readings, but when you shuffle, there's certain people that will do it where when it falls on the floor, that's the one that you reveal over. So she got to the 6th card, or she got to like a card, and nothing was coming out. She was shuffling for like 2 to 3 minutes, and nothing came out. Yeah, and then she's like, "All right, do you know what? I'm going to listen to spirit. Nothing comes out. I'm going to just do the readings based on the things here." So she turns over all the cards. She's about to do the reading, and then she knocks over the pack of decks, the ones that she's trying to get the cards out of. She knocks over the pack of decks, and then as she's picking out the decks, these 2 cards appear. The 2 cards are the number 8 and 8, and she puts them. It's just the most mad. I didn't even tell her to do nothing. Like I'm just silent all this time. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just in silence, just waiting to receive my reading. I'm just like, and she pulls out the 2 cards. It's the number 88, and she puts it next to the tarot card that represents the Lion's Gate. I can't remember what the tarot card is. I can find it in a second. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I know that there's a tarot card that represents the Lion's Gate, because I've seen it before in my things, and I call it the Lion's Gate tarot card. That is my name for it. And the way she put the 88 as well, she put the 8 either side of this tarot card. When she does the reading, she then talks about the number 88, and she was talking about 88s. Like, it was mad. And then in that reading, I've never, it's the most funniest thing. So she's breaking it down like, oh, and she says she's nervous. The funniest thing is she starts the reading and she's like, oh, I'm nervous. I have no idea what she's nervous for. No idea. I didn't even ask her why. I'm just listening. Didn't even bother questioning. She was like, oh, I'm nervous. And then because the joke was at the end, I was like, oh, so how do you think you did? I didn't say I was stone cold all throughout the reading. I didn't say nothing. And so I'm just like, oh, so how do you think you did? I don't know what I was doing. Me teaching me, I can't help myself. Like, how do you think you did? And she's like, I think I did terrible. I think I was just chatting shit, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought I was just so she basically so we get to the end card. We get to one of these near end cards. Yeah, this end card. It was like one of the near end cards, and she was like, I don't know why. When you look at this tarot card, yeah, there was nothing on this tarot card. Maybe one thing, but there was almost nothing on this tarot card that spoke to what she was about to say next. Because she was like, I don't know why. I can't even tell you why. It's just a gut thing. But for some reason, this card is telling me that this thing that we saw before, because basically when we was looking at it, she did six cards and she said it herself that she could see a story here that was leading to this thing. She was like, I can see you doing this speaking event. I can see you speaking like at some event or some conference. You're going to be speaking, and it's important because it's gonna. That's what this whole reading is about. Is about you doing this speaking event. And then she was like, it's like in October, like early October. I don't know why. I'm just like getting the eight. Maybe because she was talking about the eights before because of the 88. But she was like, I don't know why, but the October the 8th is coming to my mind. I'm like, nah. I'm like, nah. So then after I tell her, I was like, and when I get home, as usual, I'm always in a rush. I was in a rush. I couldn't check. Or I didn't want to check. Spend 5 minutes to check. So when I got home, I go to check the date of something, and it hit 100%. So basically, I've been invited. The first time anyone has ever invited me and said, Leon, as in reached out to me personally and said, I want you to speak at an event. I want you to come to France to speak at this international event. And it's about the sensors. Because obviously I'm a distributor for the sensors. And obviously I've got, I'm one of the more advanced people with the sensors kind of thing. And the person, the business owners is like, yeah, I want you to think, you won't have to pay for the event, whatever. Obviously you got to get yourself here or whatever, whatever. But that's what we will do basically as part of you being a speaker, so on and so forth. And the days of the event is October the 8th, sorry, October the 6th to October the 8th. I don't know what's happening. My jaw is just on the floor. Like, obviously, she's gifted. Like, I know she's gifted as well spiritually. Like, as in it's like it's an obvious thing. Like, she's deep. Like, she's gifted. Like, it's known. It is a known thing. But to just experience that in real time, and then obviously I've got my own readings from it. I've got my own perspective. Obviously, I do readings, and I would say she was about 90%. She was 100% on. It's just that I had more layers to what she was saying. Like I had layers. So like, okay, cool. She just said that thing there. Simply, I know what that meant on a deep perspective because obviously my life is my life. I live my life every day. I breathe it. So, and then when I get home, though, I did call out a new thing that made me realize what this whole thing was about. Basically, this whole week, what I need to basically do in order to activate. Because basically, as she said, this reading, the first three cards, this Lionsgate is an activation. And she was like, you need to do a ritual, which I know I need to do. I already knew that. I knew that this Lionsgate portal is the most important day of my year. No ifs or buts. This 8th is the most important day of my year. This is my version of my birthday, based on how I am in love with numerology. And just this 88 number that just follows me everywhere. Just follows me everywhere. It is encoded within me as a resonance. And so, yeah, that was that. And then let me see where I've got it. Let me see if I share. Let me see if I send it to myself. It's on my phone. I might need to share. Yeah, let me get my phone out. So put it in my pocket. I might even put it in my pocket. I might even put it in my pocket. All right. So, all right. The main thing that this girl's known for is dreams. I was wondering where I was going. How am I syncing this all up? So yeah, the main thing that she does is she does dream work. Like she has mad dreams. She dreams about people. She dreams about the future. Whatever the kind of dream she can astral project, you know, lucid dreaming, like since she was young, she's gifted basically, just born with this kind of stuff, just born with it. So she's always had that. Yeah. Now, when we're in the energy session, when we're doing the healing session, I said a few things. Remember, I'm new to healing. I am new. I'm not trained. I'm new. I have no right to be doing none of this stuff. I have no right at all. And so I'm just always trying new things, basically. I'm just always being inventive. And the first card was the Knight of Swords, by the way. So the Knight of Wands, which is the young, the fearless, curious, galloping magician. So anyway, whatever. So she's about dreams. Now, one of the things I never said to her, or so one of the things I said in the thing was, ah, so I could feel her energy. So basically, I, this don't always happen, but it's happened enough for it not to be that much of a surprise. But basically, when I connected with her energy, I could feel pain in certain parts of my body. That don't always happen, but it happened yesterday. And I was like, do you feel any pain here? She was like, yeah, that's where my main pain is right now. And when I opened my eyes, she had the healing device on that part that I was feeling the pain. And I feel the sharp pain. She's like, yeah, that's where I feel pain at the moment. Cool. And so instead of me healing her, I started to heal myself. And I was like, yeah, because we're now energetically connected. I was talking about quantum entanglement and how we're all connected, basically. This is what I was talking about. Because my technology is an entanglement technology. It's what all my technology is. It allows us to communicate to the other end of the universe. It's basically, it's my deal. People should start booking healing sessions. That's all I'll say. Anyway, whatever. So we start doing the dream. Sorry, so I'm talking about this resonance thing, and we were talking about how we were connected in this session. Because when she was doing the reading, she said the thing that I always say, which is anytime I'm doing a reading on someone, I always can see myself in that reading as well, and it becomes like a relational relationship kind of thing. And she was like, because when she was saying I think my reading was rubbish, is because she was seeing so much of this reading in herself. And she even said it before, like before I even asked her the question, she was like, for some reason, I just feel like this reading's about me. I'm not sure if any of this stuff relates to you. That's what she was saying. Little did she know. So anyway, I basically had this dream. I had this weird dream. I don't always dream. I'm not a dreamer. I don't. Again, hear me as usual. I don't have this gift. Another gift don't have. You know, I have another. There's another gift I don't have, which is I don't have a dream gift. I don't have these mad dreams. I don't dream every night. I don't. Da, 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 da. I've had instances, and quite honestly, when I do practice certain things, things do happen, but I just don't even bother practicing. Normally, I just practice enjoying sleeping and resting. I'm a really hard worker, mentally at the very least. And so I just crash out, sleep, wake up normally. But I had this dream on the weekend where, for the first time ever, I dreamt about someone at school, a parent at school, a parent at school. I have no resonance with this woman. She's just someone I've just seen in the past. Obviously, I've seen 500 people there. I do a school run, whatever, whatever. And I met this person at, I was at a till. I was at the till and I was letting her go or something. It was like buying bread or something like, I was buying something and she said something to me whilst I was at the till. That was it. Nothing major. I just was like, that's odd. Carried on with my day. I was like, huh, that's really odd. Like, I'm not joking. I have no attraction to this woman, no nothing. Like there's no nothing. I don't know her name, don't know who her child is, no nothing. I've just seen her before. Whatever. She appears in my dream. I carry on. So then I've built this app. All right. So then we fast forward. So then we have this reading. Yeah. We have this reading. Then we fast forward to. So I'm in the car. Shout out to wifey, to my wife. Yeah. So I'm in the car and I'm basically just gathering my thoughts about yesterday's reading and just what has transpired since yesterday's reading. I'm having a moment to myself, basically. And my wife calls, go to the supermarket, go get some stuff for breakfast. Whatever you want, just go get something, just, have breakfast together. All right, boom. So I'm at the first aisle of Lidl, and um, I leave a message to my cousin called Lamar. I only know this, shout out to Lamar. I only know this girl through Lamar. So this is Lamar's best friend, or one of Lamar's closest friends, basically, one of his day ones. And that's how I know her. That's literally how I know her. And so I'm leaving this message to Lamar. I'm leaving this message to Lamar because I'm like, Lamar, I built this thing, this app, this tool, and I can see you being part of the help. Like, because Lamar is a sound engineer. Lamar also has mad dreams. He can also astral travel. He also is very spiritual. Um, but I'm like, you could help me really nail down this from a technical perspective because I'm not a music engineer. I'm not a sound engineer. Again, I have no right to do this stuff. I'm not trained on anything. I'm just curious. That's all I have is a curious mind, nothing else. And so I leave this message to Mona because I was like, ah, because the main thing I said is because we could put geometry into it. We can take these frequencies and basically the thing that I built, the thing that Lamar, because Lamar came to my house a few months ago, the thing that I built basically was this tool. So he built this tool basically on his laptop or set up this tool on his laptop and showed me how to do it. This thing that this other lady showed me, which I'm going to show you lot in a bit, in a second. And he's the one that showed me that it was on his laptop. And so for 3 months, sorry, this is about 6 months ago, I did nothing with it. I just focused on my other priorities, whatever, whatever. So finally, as I'm doing this whole music thing, I finally was like, all right, cool, do, boom. So I only built that yesterday, last night or yesterday, basically. Built this thing, it worked. I was like, all right, Lamar, you just need to still help me a little bit. But I was like, I can see this thing with these geometries. So we get these frequencies, we do geometries, and these geometries are going to go into healing. So we're now going to do healing music. Basically, I've, I'm not the only one, but I've basically cracked a code, or I'm going to be basically cracking codes on how to do music healing on another level to even what biocoherence is doing on a more commercial way, in a more commercial way, basically. I'm not the only one to do this, but like I can see the path, and there is still certain pioneering things that I'll be able to do when I combine it all together. It will definitely be unique. So anyway, whatever. And but I said this to Lamar, and I'm like, oh, because I can even see these lasers. I was even start talking about lasers in this message. I can see these lasers and these geometries, and people are listening to music and they're watching this and it's healing them. But then they listen, I could just see it. I was like, this would be like a nuts event. Lamar wants to do events. He throws events. He throws festivals, not festivals, but like parties in the park. He's a DJ as well. Apologies. He's also a DJ. So I speak to Lamar, I'm like, yo, you need to jump on this thing. Get off the phone. And I'm not joking. As soon as I get off the phone, I don't even know what happened. As soon as I got off the phone, the woman that I saw in my dream walked past me with headphones on. Again, as soon as I left the voice message on WhatsApp, when I went to go get the bread, and I'm not sure if it was the bread that was at the checkout. I can't remember to myself. I don't want to make stuff up. So I can't remember what I was at the checkout with. But I know I was at the self. Anyway, whatever. I know I didn't have much stuff. But as I was going to get the bread, which was a 10-second walk, she literally walked in front of me with headphones on. I'm like, I just froze. I froze. I don't know if she saw me freeze, but I literally just froze. I was frozen. And the maddest thing, after me freezing and thinking nothing, I was just like, oh shit, it was her. 'Cause I couldn't even remember who it was. I couldn't really remember the face too much. Obviously, I remember the first day, and then this is like obviously 4 or 5 days later, or maybe 3 or 4 days later, whatever. She walks past me with headphones, and I'm like, raw. So obviously, I've dreamt the future. I've dreamt again. I've had a difficult week. I've had interference this week. I'm thinking I want to do something one way, something that's interfered with me, has squared me, knocked me off balance to a degree for a couple of days where I've had to go within myself to work out my next rebalancing move, which is kind of, let's say, made me question like what I'm doing. Am I really doing things right? You see what I'm trying to say? Am I really? Is this path that I'm going down? Is it as crazy as it's people make it sound, or it could be sounded to? Let's just say, you know. And then I get that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That doesn't mean that I can't do whatever I need to do to rebalance things, but essentially, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Exactly where I'm supposed to be. So then, why have I got this? Because I basically froze. The reason why I froze, it is on my phone as well. I took a picture on my phone as well. The reason why oh my fucking days, I've just realized. All right, let me see this image on my phone. Let me send it to myself. And look, Lamar's just messaged me as well while we've been chatting. He's a busy guy, so we'll have to listen to the message later. He's a busy, busy man. All right, cool. Let me see if I can get this image. I feel like I did take an image on my phone. Um, yeah, I did. I did take an image on my phone. All right, cool. All right, cool. So yeah, it's synced up. It is what it is as well. It did sync up. All right, cool. I weren't sure to be honest. I won't have one. I don't want to force it. I've been emotional 3 times today now. It's the third time. That's sweat, by the way, not crying. It's quite high. Um, I bought a tissue as well. So anyway, third time today. I'm in the car. Before my wife called me, yeah, I was in the car and I had a moment to myself where I got emotional because I had seen something so mind blowing. It just made me, like I said, I'm into this stuff. I am in love with spirituality. And call it a drug if you want to. I don't mind. It intoxicates me. I can't leave it alone to a degree. Like I said, I was kind of saying this at the start of the chat. I don't think no one's here, but like literally, there was a synchronistic moment that again I'm gonna have to tell you a lot about. This is not even supposed to be a story, but this is just my life. My life is just a whole bunch of synchronicities. Sometimes it's just today's just one of them days. I haven't done a lecturing since the other day of synchronicity, which was 4 weeks ago. Today wasn't supposed to be a synchronicity day. Um, the universe is a joke. All right, cool. So basically, there is someone that's inspired me to basically there's someone that inspired me to do the geometry stuff, convert frequencies into geometry. I'm going to show it to you later. Oh, sorry, it was the first image I showed. So yeah, let me just go there quickly. The first, yo, I didn't even realize this. Mad. The first image I showed is by this lady who put together this slide deck today. She doesn't post a lot, but today she did a presentation for her longest time ever. Normally she does like 5 to 10 minute videos. Today she did an hour and 40 minute video on someone else's channel that she put on her channel, and it got loaded. It was the first thing on my feed when I woke up this morning. Remember, if anyone watched my last video, remember when that happened again. And this is the first slide she shows of the deck because she's speaking about coherence. Mind you, I'm already building this. It's just the synchronicities. I can't make this stuff up. So there's one chart later on that she shows that just brought me to an emotion. Like I went emotional whilst I was in the car, and then my wife calls me, go to the shop. I'm just now realizing that how I ended the call, because everything I kind of planned what I was going to say. The new idea was I can see you, Lamar, doing a DJ set, and these lights are showing these frequencies, like these lasers are showing these frequencies. I didn't even explain how, because I know how to do that as well. I just haven't built it yet. That's like another day's worth of work, but it's cool. How it's going to build these frequencies. And I was like, I can just see this happen. Boom, 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 boom. What happens a minute later? That woman walks past. I I then get emotional in the shock. Do you see what I mean? I froze into emotion, the same as before. So what I'm basically trying to tell you, lot, is that I'm not just um looking at numbers from a logic perspective. This is way beyond logic. That's what I'm trying to say. Where logic is the maths, is the codes, is the frequencies, but then the music is the conscious resonance. There's certain songs that I like that you're not gonna like. That is your consciousness. We can't make that stuff up. That's just the conscious. That's just the consciousness in becoming entangled with a moment of magic, which we then call resonance, or physicists call or people just call entanglement. Relational. The universe is relational. Now, after I come out of the freeze, I was like, because this is not my first freeze. It's not my first time I've been blown off my socks. I was like, I guarantee you, when I open my eyes, I'm going to see something. Because I literally was almost tearing up. I was almost crying in Lidl. And so I get myself together and I open my eyes and then I see this. And I took the picture. The first thing I saw in front of my eyes was the number 69. Yeah. That was the first thing I saw in my eyes was the number 69. I then also saw the 22 and the 89. They all mean something, by the way. But the 69 was the first thing I saw. All right, check. Yeah. So then, like, I'm wired, but I realized that I'm like in 5D now. I went into 5D mode. I'm in 5D mode. That's how I knew when I opened my eyes, I was going to see something that was going to have resonance and was going to mean something, was going to be meaningful. I'm in 5D. I just clocked the number 69 and move on. I kind of know what it means to me, but I didn't want to make too much of a big deal. Let life life. There's more to the story. I go to the checkout now, and I'm like, the dream happened at the checkout. I met the woman at the checkout. So I did look around. I'm like, she's not here. So that was it. That moment's gone. That was then. This is now. So I'm at the checkout, and I'm like, I know what it is. It's the numbers. It's the numbers. There's going to be something in the numbers when I check out. Yeah. I've clocked this already. So I put down the thing, yeah. I've only got 4 items. This is breakfast: croissants, avocado, bread. Croissants, avocado, bread, 2 croissants or pastries, avocado, and bread. Yeah, that's my breakfast. Yeah, tea's at home already. Kind of clocked it about the numbers checkout thing when I was putting the manual stuff in, like the stuff that didn't have because croissants, they don't have the what's it called, barcode to scan. So I had to manually put it in. And that's when I was recognizing it. So the minute that I recognized it, the number that came up was 666. I'm like mad. I'm like going nuts. I'm like, raw, 666. Sorry, anyone that knows the 666? So it's not the devil number to me. Apologies. No, we've transversed that. This is the number of carbon. i.e., we are carbon based. The blackness, the chaos. Yeah. The what's the name of my lecture gonna be? The what's the word? The undecidability. 66666. Yeah. Boom, pops up. No, I actually thought that that was the number, but it wasn't the number because I still had one more item to check out. I thought that was actually done. I was like, oh shit, there's two pastries in there. We go pay for the second pastry. Put the second pastry in or something like that. Whatever. I put in the second thing, and that second pastry, both pastries were 69p, by the way, which was obviously and 69p. We get to this number. Let's see if we can do it on the screen. If you can't see it, the price comes up to 741. 741. 741. Most people just be like, 741, that's nothing. Is anyone paying attention, people? Let's see if anyone's paying attention. I don't even know who's live. Anyone live today? Yeah, we got a few views. Who cares? Yo, this is the Akashic record knows. Let it be said. So, 741 for anyone that was paying attention is, drum roll, the throat chakra. The throat chakra. Even though that woman did an amazing session, a tarot reading, before I leave my house, I got this energy. I got this energy. I get energy, isn't it? I can feel energy in my body some certain times, like often can feel like energy in my body. And I could feel this harmonizing energy around my throat chakra. And I said to myself, I bet you she's going to bring up throat chakra. Completely forgot I had said this because obviously I was like, I just remember just feeling it. I was like, oh, I bet you she's going to have something to do with the throat chakra. I didn't know what, I just because I could feel this energy. And this is when I was thinking of her and I was about to go to the session. I was about to leave my house. So at the end, she said, this is literally as we were leaving, or just before the session, as the session was ending. One of the last things she said is, I need to tap into my throat chakra. I need to do so. I need to basically I need to heal my throat chakra. Something, I can't remember exactly what she said. My throat chakra. Are we not doing music? One of the tools that I built is this music tool. Basically, throat chakra. Like I built a tool that will convert your tone, your voice into music and into some other stuff. Obviously, I'm going to show these tools a bit later. But 741 comes up, the throat chakra. You're now seeing the six and nines, by the way. Six and the nines. And the tarot reading for yesterday, there was a few numbers that came up. Obviously, there was a few numbers that came up. But one of the numbers that came up was 800. They were basically, if I actually go to it, there were only two total numbers. So in my divination, look, I might even be able to show and prove it now, you know. I might even be able to show and prove it now. What just happened. Because quite honestly, like I said, these videos are this is like a research. These are like my research videos. This videos like this, they go into research. When I start telling stories, it's because I should be journaling often. I don't journal enough. So like these just become my journals. When I listen back, I'm like, oh shit, at least I've caught some moments of these madness, of the magic that happened in my life. So yeah, these are not tangents, man. These are entries. These are diary entries, essentially. All right, cool. So as you can see, sorry, let's get back to the one with the webcam. Why not? I feel like she was getting jealous. No, I'm joking. Because when I was doing her reading, so this is what I did for her reading. So I basically just gave her one of my normal reads. I pulled out some cards. I'm not going to talk about the cards. This is whatever. It's private to her. But whatever. I pulled out these cards. This are tarot cards. But then I pulled out this, my app. And when it loads, which hopefully is today, all right, we can just speak about that one. She basically was like, I want to see eights. So when I was throwing my dice, which is basically what starts these cards, I basically do a divination reading that starts with me throwing dice, basically. And then the dice leads to these numbers, basically, that you're seeing here. So, yeah, you're trying to crash today. Okay, fair enough. It's interesting. All right, cool. So yeah, if you did see that, so what she kept on calling out is she was like, I want to see an eight. So she was kind of disappointed when she didn't see the eight in the cards. Like you could see it on her face, and she could just see it. She was like, oh, she didn't say nothing, but she was a little bit because she was like, because she was on point with like calling stuff, in it. So obviously she called out, I bet you there's gonna be an eight, but the eights didn't come up in the dice. But again, all right, finally, cool, close, recovery, enable content. Do we need to enable? The first thing I pointed out to her was the 800. And I said, that's mad. That is also mad. There's a couple of things that's mad here as well. Now I'm really looking at this because we called out the 400. I was like, okay, so your center self card, which is the one that you are when you enact all of these aspects of your periphery, you then enact this, you activate this. So you do all of these things to activate this, basically. In a nutshell, that's what the reading's about, or one way in which you can interpret the reading. And so I was like, that's mad because this number's 400 and 800. So that basically means you just got two 44s, which is the number 44. So obviously all of this must equal the number 400 in order for you to get 800 here. Because 400 minus 800 is, if you look to see that, is 800. So yeah, I was talking. So the reason why this is interesting because I was like, this is half. Again, this is a ratio. One of the most sacred ratios is doubling. Just to be real specific, the most sacred ratio in the universe is doubling. Vesica Pisces. Yeah. So this here is a Vesica Pisces, and it just so happens. Remember, I don't whatever. All of this stuff is all coincidental. This 400 is the balance, so it leads to balance. And what is half of? So one side is 400. You add another 400 to the other side, you get 800. That's not how you get this bottom number, by the way. You get this bottom number by adding all of these individual scores that then go to that, then equal 800. Just to be clear. So anyway, um, it equals 800. So my whole point is that you've got the perfect balance, which is in the chaos realm. And literally, I just said my life is literally just about rebalance. This reading's for her, by the way. But my business is called my art and my art equals balance. So, and then you've got the 8 and the 400. So my reading for her was for me, and then her one was for me. It is what it is. And then I said to her, because this is seasonal, the 852. Because I remember calling out, I didn't call out all this. We didn't speak about the 19, we didn't speak about 127, we didn't speak about 40. All I spoke about in those numbers was the 52. Because I said, oh, this is about seasons. Because she did the maddest thing on the tarot card reading, which is she kept on calling out times, like events. She was like, on this day, this thing's going to happen. Like, I don't normally do readings like that. But she called out time. So when I saw the 52, I was like, this is also a period. This is also calling out a time, but this is calling out seasonality. This is calling out harmonics that's related to seasons, which again, I'll show you later. But look, also, I did all that to say 852. So the thing that just, when I went silent, is because the reason why I went silent is because it was a chakra story. We've thrown out the 852, the 800. Remember, the 800 is in the actual 800 as well. Then we've got the 52, which is the 852, 258. We've then got the 69. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen 369. Even today, This 369, I just didn't document it at all times. But I'll see it, as in literally, I saw 369. I might see it at some point today in the lecture. I'm not sure. And it might jog my memory. I can't remember it, but I know I saw 369. And then we've got the 741. So basically, we've got the story of the chakras all in the reading from yesterday into the dream, into reality, dreaming reality into existence, playing out as a developmental chakra story, which for the first time, for some reason, I've looked at this chart. I've probably seen these numbers related to this maybe 100 times. Like maybe 100 times I've seen this. And for some reason, only today I worked out the harmonics of it. New brain, new eyes, perspective, angles. The universe is relational. Yeah, the universe is relational. Luckily, I don't have many slides. Luckily, I don't have many slides. So I know there's not a lot of people on the chat, but I'm gonna ask a question anyway. If anyone wants to get involved, what do you notice? Let me make this smaller. Um, yeah. All right. So yeah, just a little quiz, little pop quiz, little pop quiz. What do you notice? So these are the most frequent letters of the English language. Words are spells. Yeah. Words are spells. Yeah. Everything has an influence on everything. Everything is entangled. Everything is interconnected. Everything is interdependent. Shout out. Shout out to my big sis. So the frequency of English letters varies depending on source, but some of the most common list and look practical cryptography. What I thought, I was laughing at this because I was like, cryptography. Cryptography is basically cracking codes. The enigma, the imagination games. Shout out to Alan Turing. Shout out to Alan Turing, who basically was the one who cracked the code on undecidability. This term of he's basically the one that came up with the equation or worked out this mathematical thing. Like there was a whole nother lecture that I could have put into this, but just yeah, no, today we're not going to do that. But basically, this undecidability thing was by this guy was basically cracked by this cryptographer called Alan Turing, who basically saved the world war, as the story goes. And ha ha ha, practical cryptography, and obviously this is called vibrology in practice. Ha ha ha. The universe is a joke. What do you notice about this? Let me check the chat. I'll give you like 10 seconds. All right, cool. 10, 9, 8, 3, 6, 2, 1. All right, cool. Boom. One of the things I noticed about this is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I knew it was going to be 8. It had to be 8, obviously. The number had to be 8. The first 8 letters out of the 26 letters in the English language spells notaries, is an anagram for notaries. So in that word notaries, and then I worked out something else today. Look, ETA, estimated time arrival. So if we're looking at the English language, we're saying it's an energy frequency about time. It's about time, which is about intervals, ratios. Yeah. In the first 8 letters, you've got the word ratios, by the way. Ratios. Yeah, you've got the word ratios. You've got the word notaries. You've also got the word note. You've got the word note. You know what I realized today? Again, I'm just new day, new eyes. So I never noticed this before. But you've got E, the energy, E, tail, Anyone that knows what Teo is the way. Teo is a Japanese practice or Japanese religion or whatever, like, a form of spirituality basically. And it's called the way. So the English language is also about the journey, the way in which you work with energy. You then also have the tail, the tar, like tamare, like like the tar. You have the I and the O, the 10, the I and the O, the binary code. So you got the tail, the binary code, you've got the in, you got the ion basically. You got the ion. You could say that you ate ion. So ions are negatively charged particles, which is basically what plasma is, or charged particles are ionic, which is what 99% of the universe, i.e., what we call energy, is made of, which isn't physical. Plasma. It's the first form of energy. So yeah, we've got music, we've got energy, and we've got the journey. So all of these things are combining in what? Encapsulated in the number eight. Encapsulated in the number eight. And even when you look at the frequency of these numbers, 12, bro, that's getting screenshotted. That's getting screenshotted. That's mad. We're playing about today. We are actually playing about today. Because I was going to say one other number that I did call out as well, which we called out the 12. Yo, that's mad. And look, you saw that. I don't know if anyone saw that. Yo, bro, are people seeing what's happening in real time right now? Are people actually seeing what's happening in real time right now? Or am I just going mad as usual? I'll explain it in a second. If you saw it, you saw it. Where's that folder? Where is my folder? Rather. All right, where are you? I can never remember where my folder is. All right, we'll just save it here for now. We'll just save it here. As long as I've saved it. All right, cool. What have I just seen? This does, by the way, milliseconds. Just to be clear, this does milliseconds. So I've just seen, because the reason why I went back to this is because I saw the number 12. Do you know what? I don't even know how I've skipped. How did I even skip onto 12? Oh, because I saw the 12 and then the 10% of the 12. Right. All right, let me catch you later. It is just one of those calls, man. It is just one of those ones. I'm seeing code today. It's just one of them days. I'm seeing code. So what I was going to say is that out of these eights, you've got pairings. The same way how you saw with the chakras, you had pairings. You've got the 12, you've got the eights, you've got three sevens, and then you've got two sixes. Did we not just call out the chakras that had two doubles that mirrored each other, and then a tripling that mirrored each other? Did we not call that out on the chakras? And so the anomaly was the one that was left out because obviously there's seven chakras and there's eight here. So, it's not quite matching up 100%. And so then I went to the 12 and I saw 12 and I was like, I remember from the reading that the only other number I called out, because it was more about just reading the actual words of what they meant as opposed to looking at the numbers so much. I called out the 12 and I went and I went to just double check. So I feel like I remember throwing the 12, which came to a 3, which is also another 369. But we won't go there. because I remember finding two 12s, both in the chaos line. I didn't remember. I'm not seeing that now. Both in the chaos line. So in order to get to this 52, we've got two 12s. And look at that, 12, 10. What time did I take this reading? What time did I open up this document? What did it do? What did it do when I opened up the document? Did it not crash? Which basically meant that when it crashed, if it didn't crash, it would have been a different time. Look at this time, 21:10, 21:10. The messenger of introspection, just in case you want to understand, want to know what it means. The as above, the message, the message to activate, the message, the light code frequency comes down in the yellow. The light code frequency that comes down, the sun's rays that comes down and hits you as the messenger, that forces you to go into introspection because the message is so deep, comes in at the 12:10, which is the 22nd key. It's another 22. The master builder number. The master builder number for the messenger, the number 33, Jesus Christ, messenger, the Son of God, the messenger, the Son of God, Jesus who died at the age of 33, yeah, speaks to the master builder, needs to pass a message to the master builder, who needs to take it with inspection, introspection, yeah, received it at 12:10, received it at 12:10, and then you've got that there, the 12:20, the 212. And as I looked at the 212, did it not? As I literally pressed the snapshot to screenshot, it went up to 21. As in, if I did this 2 seconds later, you would have seen 21:21. So it switched to 21:21, which again is the ETA, like the moving of time, as in what that just shows you there. Because when you do a reading like that, it shows you the cusp point, the transition, the transcending, the transcending. So we got the 21:21 anyway, or the 12:12. So I noticed this. And when did I notice it? I noticed it 12 minutes later. 11 minutes later. 11 minutes later. Apologies. I noticed it 11 minutes later. Fairness. Fair. 11 minutes exactly. All right, fair enough. It's fine. They're all master numbers because you had the 11. It makes no difference to the story. It's all powerful at this point because the 11 number obviously is the 11 that then goes to the 22 that then goes to the 33. So we're basically the same. We're basically talking about master numbers, the first three master numbers. And some people, if you listen to them, they'll say there's only three master numbers, which is 11, 22, and 33. And you've got that 11 related to this is when I recognize this at this point. I don't even know what to say at this point, to be honest. I'm not even sure. Like, just I'm gonna be sharing this video because like it's real time magic. Like we're in the flow. This is what I'm trying to say. There's certain times where it's like this is why I can't really do videos consistently because sometimes I'm having to decode this stuff and work with the universe and work with spirit. You see what I mean? That's why it's like honestly, it's only an estimated time of arrival. It's only an estimated time of arrival, people. It's only an estimated time of arrival. I'm not even. This is just the first thing. Like, you know me, I'm busy. I just pick the first thing, and then obviously we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, and then the I. So as I always talk about me and my brother, yeah, I always talk about my brother, which is he's the zero because he went to go live in a mountain somewhere. So he reduced himself, and I'm someone that lives life to the fullest, lives life to the fullest. And I don't think I screenshotted that. I don't think I screenshotted that. Lives life to the fullest. Oh wow, she got back to me, yeah. All right, cool. I thought someone was like, okay, back in the game, yeah. Interesting. All right, cool. So let me look at my all right, share the screen again. Yeah, this is a legendary chat. So the greatest thing I've heard today is this. So I had a conversation with my cousin Shane. You've heard me talk about my cousin Shane. He was in my last video. Shout out to Shane. So I had a conversation with my cousin Shane, and it was all about him. It was just all about him, just whatever he's going through. Don't need to get into it. But what he was going through was about, he won't mind me sharing it, he don't really care. It basically is his lack of ambition. He did something intentionally where he wanted to remove desire and remove basically ambition, specifically ambition. And he's now finding himself in a situation where he's not really feeling what that's like. He's lived it and he's like, oh, all right, cool. I've kind of he's quite kind of created a hole for himself. Anyway, whatever. So my whole point is, yo, look, we got a little the little thing just popped up. I don't know how that popped up. Oh no, I took an image of it by accident. I don't even know how the little was popped up for. Who knows? Anyway, whatever. The universe is a joke. The universe is a joke. You know that's the theme of the day, isn't it? The universe is a joke. All right. And then this person, so I'm listening to my biocoherence. I'm in my biocoherence talk, by the way. Anyone can listen to them. And then this person who is being getting healed on a mad level just looks different. Since he's been playing these frequencies, he looks younger. This guy's like 78 years old. Man looks younger playing these frequencies, yeah. And everyone on the comments is saying how much young he looks since he's been playing the frequencies. Like he's got his youth back, and this guy's like 80 years old. It's a bit crazy. Anyway, whatever. And then he says something. So this guy that you can see on the picture, this guy here is the owner of Biocoherence. He's the inventor. He's the genius, the polymath. And then this guy is like been there from day one before me, basically. And he's just speaking some bare wisdom. He's speaking bare wisdom. And then he has this conversation around to this other guy. And so this other guy, so anyway, whatever, this guy that looks young is not on this, not is not here. But he says this one comment. He's like, yeah, I live my life by from this conversation from God. There's a book called Conversations with God. To, Conversations with God. I've not read it. I think I've heard about it in fairness, but whatever. I've not read it. It's basically a guy doing automatic writing. He asks questions to God and does automatic writing. Automatic writing. Hopefully, you don't know what that is. It's just how it sounds. Go look it up. And he's like, yeah, the thing I live by is desire everything, accept nothing, and take what comes. I didn't really like the word take. I just like the word accept. That makes more resonance to me. That resonates with me more. I understand what it means by take, but for me, I prefer the word. It's my word, so I just put the word accept. Accept what comes. The reason why I'm saying that is because I wrote that. That's the only thing I've written down today, outside of a few numbers and these pictures I've taken. Like I'm going to be using that. I love that as a quote. That's beautiful because what that reminds me of is the number one, the benefits of the number one. Everyone always talks about going to the 0.0 point, and even with my cousin Shane, basically, it speaks to this 011. He tried to do this thing basically, and it didn't really work out for him. 747, didn't really work out for him. Whereas I am the one or the I, like Leon, as opposed to the Dion. I spoke about this before. So I'm born at 7:33. Just by the way, just wanted to say that. All of that was just to say that I am born at 7:33, and that is in the I. And when I'm recognizing this, I'm looking at this as the binary code of the universe. Again, I'm a decoder. The binary code of the universe, fundamental, the zero into the one. And it's about me trying to learn the zero because I'm naturally the one. So mad. The doubling, and the tripling. And it look, the doubling, and then the tripling, which is the 3-2 ratio. Again, we've got another 3/2 ratio. And anyone that's into music, yo, we're gonna come there soon. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's go to the third slide. Yo, I never know what I'm gonna say when before I do these calls. Never. You know what I'm like. I never know what I'm gonna say. So, um, this is ratios. So these are the musical, or just how you do basically do ratios. Even as I'm saying this, I'm learning. Like I said, I'm not trained. I have no right to be doing none of this stuff. We just do. I don't ask for permission. I just do. So the third, I'm in 5D at the moment, by the way, people, just in case you didn't realize. So, all right, we spoke about the vesica Pisces, yeah, the splitting of the two ratios. I told about doubling. It's the most basic ratio ever. The doubling, the halving, the one and the one, the one and the one, the wholeness, yeah, the wholeness, the red and the blue. The dice I threw yesterday were red and blue, by the way, just for the fun of it. Um, the one and the one, the first two numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, yeah, the second and the third numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, the one and the two, or the two and the one. And you get the idea. Yeah, the fifth. So this is Fibonacci through the numbers. Why I've paused is that my last week's lecture, the one of how to die and not come back, which is this 4 hour video, 3 hour video that I did with this story, which I'm still in, which is this Lionsgate. The Lionsgate basically looks like this. So the magnetosphere, let me just bring it up. So let me just bring it up. So again, I'm not going to speak about last week. Go check it out. But we will do the main image that I was using last week. Like this was the main image I was using last week. Look at this. So yeah, we've got the sun. So by the way, this is the sun. So this is the sun. The sun shoots out its beam, shoots the energy. So this is harmonics. This is the vibration. And then basically, in order to die and not come back, you need to get to the cusp. Yeah, which is basically here. And as you can see, plasma, yeah, the energy of the universe, magneto, the magnetic field, yeah, everything is radiation, light, emitting of light, the loss of energy, yeah, which is how energy works in its physical realm. It loses energy, and it's all and we need to become a superconductor. The idea is to become a superconductor, a coherent wave, a recursive wave, an energy that is able to feed itself, i.e., nuclear fusion, which is basically going to be led by plasma technology. Yes. I was talking about this last week, so I don't want to skip. But what this reminds me of is the intervals, basically. So when I was looking at this, This image in particular, I don't know why. This is the one where I saw it. Obviously, it's the first time I've cut it. This would be the magnetosphere, which is the perfect fifth, which is the 3 by 2. And obviously, we've been seeing the ratios in the notation or in the frequency of the English language, and then also um, the frequency of the English language, and also yeah, the musical scale, the harmonics, overtones, obviously here, oh, and in the chakras as well. So how did I start my lecture? By saying that all of these things are relational. All of these things feed into one another, and I've just literally just proved it. Show and proved it in real time by me decoding shit that I didn't even know I was gonna decode before the call. I had no idea I was gonna go into the story for that long. In fairness, I had no idea. All I had is story of today twice in one day. And then I saw it again today as well. And then I saw it at the sports fence. She walked past me, like literally walked past me as I was walking again. It's quite funny. Um, so yeah, basically, in a nutshell, this is how you do ratios. So this is just the basic chart that everyone shows when you're learning about ratios and how to do ratios. And this is strings. So imagine these are strings and different tension points within the strings, and then they make different notes. So this is just basically where sound comes from, where vibration comes from. This is like your first understanding of harmonics. And these notes are coherent, let's just say. So these notes would look like this. The reason why the music scale or the diatonic scale and all of these different scales is because they create harmony, not this. And this is I'm not even sure if I mentioned this is the 440 frequency, by the way, and this is 432. So the same notes are played through the frequency of 432 or tuned when the music is tuned to the 440. That's what this is. When the music is tuned to 432, the exact same notes build out this frequency, this coherence. This is why the 440 is quote unquote bad. And we could just prove it now. That's what this lady did. She proved it for the first time with my eyes of the geometric, of the cymatic, of the 440 versus 432. So this basically is the first chart. So this is from the website. So that app, that software app that I was speaking about, this was on their website when they were linking the astrology to the sounds, basically. So you would say that this would be I'm kind of guessing it's either one of these two, because obviously it's not exactly straight. So this would be, let's say, Aries. So this is divided by 6, 12. So there's 12 tones, by the way. So in music, in the musical scales, there's 12 tones. In astrology, there's 12. So this gets into why we cut things up by 12. The music, do you see what I mean? So this number 12, again, what do we start with here in the English language? 12, energy. The 10, you could also say the 1 and the 0. The 1 and the 0, the 2 and the 1, the first cut. So even though this 1 and 1 is a harmonic, it will just produce the same note. So you're not really, even though it is the first one, it's the prime overtone, but the first overtone they call it, which is the first cut, the first interval. There is no intervals here. There's just wholeness, isn't it? So the interval is the first divide. So even when you're looking at this, think about this as well. And obviously you've seen my stimulation theory. Anyone's watching this for this long, can't be that bored because doesn't like bored of my voice and stuff because oh, be nice if I spell it right. And it's stimulation theory. Don't even know my own models, mate. So yeah, obviously we've got this here, and look how I did it. I don't even when I was doing this. At no point was I thinking about musical intervals and harmonics. I wasn't thinking about harmonics. But you've got the dot, the cut, the I am, this cusp. at the 2-1 or at the 1-2. And then look at the colors. It's quite funny. The universe is a joke. The universe is a joke. Look at that. Look at that. As we've discovered the 2-1, the 21, as we've been discovering it, the 12, the 12, the 12, the 12 that we threw twice, the 12. So all of this basically, this is basically the correspondence chart to convert the planets and the star signs and the houses into the musical scale. So this is what this particular app was using. But in my further studies, I won't bore you with it because I went pretty deep in this as an entry point. But there are other people that have done different correspondences. But this is definitely one of the more popular. It seems like I've seen this a few times. This is a popular correspondence, but it's not the only way of corresponding. It's just one of the popular ones. And so, me, I got them all. I grabbed them all. I put them all in one system, as we do. This is what blew me off my feet. This is what blew me off my feet. We're getting to it. So this is the woman's lecture today. So I even show her in a picture, like that's the top of her head. And then yeah, so this is the chat that you can go Google this now. Frequency research by Burner. You can watch this YouTube video. It only came out today. Like literally this morning when I woke up, it was 10 hours old, or like less than 10 hours old, or maybe 10 hours old. So this is what knocked me off of my feet. And this is her here. This is her channel. This is her frequency scientist. So she's called herself the frequency scientist. And her name's called Zohar. Zosa. That's her. Like she's a musician basically. She's a musician, sound engineer. Just on another level. I need to reach out to her basically. I reached out to her. She's one of the first people that I reached out. I reached out to her when I first saw this or something. One of her first ever video. I reached out to her. She was the first person I've ever reached out to when I've just seen someone's YouTube video. I was like, I need to contact her. She didn't even respond. I'll try it again. God loves a trial. So this is what knocked me off on my feet because I was already thinking it and I've already got my own tables. I've already got this in my own version. Not exactly like this, but I've got my own variation somewhere. I don't feel like I need to prove the receipt on it that much. Like it might even be here. It's on another one of my documents. It's on my other one. I can't bother to get it out. It's fine. I've got something like this basically that I had done about a year to 2 years ago. And so again, it's like seeds. I didn't actually put these ones in, but I've got it like this. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, whatever. I've got something like this. And my whole point is that I wanted the geometries that went with it. This is before I saw her image. I was like, I want to map all of the geometries out. That's what I want to do. I want to convert any frequency into a geometry, which is what she did. So I got inspired by her and I was like, I want to build my own library. So when I saw her for the first time ever, this is the first time she's ever revealed this on this call. She's like, I've got new slides for you, is what she was basically saying. This is when I went into shock. This is when I was in my car and went into shock and just like, got emotional basically. My level of emotion, about as emotional as I'll ever get or as I get kind of thing. And she's mapped it out. Like, still haven't even watched the whole video. That video's an hour and 45 minutes and I'm about an hour and 15, 20 minutes in. So I've still not even got through the whole video. But she said this one thing at the end because again, the practice of vibrology in practice. And she said that she did this thing, which is just like exactly what I was seeing with my pyramid. Exactly what I wanted to do with my pyramid, bring the geometry into my pyramid. So I'm going to build this tool. Like I said, I've got this tool to build, which is being inspired by her and someone else. And she was like, she printed it out. She went to a sacred site. I can't remember what the site is. She went to this sacred site. She printed this out and she did a meditation at this site while sitting on this printout or doing something with this printout of one of these images. I know which one it was as well. The 17. It's the 10th of the 7th today, by the way. She pulled out the 17 one. This one. This is the one with 17 petals. Where are we? It's this image. So she pulls out the 466. Look at that, triple six. So she pulled out the 16 petals. So she printed this out. She went to a sacred site. She printed this out. Yeah. And in that night, she has a mad dream. Again, I don't know about her spiritual work. I don't know nothing about this woman. Like she don't really talk much. 5 minute videos in and out. I don't really know her stories more than 1 minute. Let's say sound engineer, so on and so forth, magician. But she says this. She then has a dream, and in that dream, she's taken to the place where she did the sacred site at the dream, where the image is. And she was like, I still don't know how it works. Again, she's a researcher. She still doesn't know fully how it works, but she's like, I created a portal and create, I was able to go back in time and see the people of the time at this sacred site. I was able to, I was able to time travel. I was able to astral project slash time travel because this geometry brought up a portal. Yeah, this is one of my best videos. Just the information in this video is just definitely something I'm going to refer to because this has just got my whole mix of everything where we're going into the metaphysics and we talk about life, how metaphysics actually works in practice when you live this shit and don't just talk it. Four, look, triple six, 17 petals, the one and the seven. I'm also born on the 7th, the 17th, by the way, just to be clear. Just to be clear, I'm also born on the 17th. So, yeah, I am going to reach out to her because I want to add to her studies. I want to be one of the people that add to her studies. So there's a couple of people that I just get inspired by. Like, you know, because I have this desire to build Master Builder number 22 as a four, coming through the 3-1 and the 2-2. Let's just shout out to the 3-1 and number 31, the 13. Let's not forget. And also the 22 because I'm a four in numerology. My date of birth equals a number four, basically. My life path is the number four, Master Builder. So, because of this, me receiving information is dangerous. This is what I'm trying to say. The universe gave me some information and I knew what to do with it. I knew how to do it and what to do with it, and I knew that I could do it. I even knew, but I knew the estimated time for the arrival was long. But I didn't realize, but this is the beauty of it. I would say one of the most beautiful things in my life, personally, is how quick magic happens. When I try something for the first time and it works. Do you see what I mean? This woman doesn't drop many videos. Only checked her out yesterday. Like I was checking her out yesterday. So that's why she probably popped up on the top of my feed. But she hasn't done a video. I was watching one of her videos because I was building a tool and something that she had said inspired me as again. So yeah, basically these are healing and these are portals. So my whole reading yesterday, I can't wait to catch up with the person who did that I did the reading on yesterday, or who did the reading, where we had a reading exchange, we had an energy exchange. There was an exchange of energy. There was a quantum entanglement yesterday. It was mad on it's things I'm not even explaining. Like, just again, don't want to go into the story, but my whole point is that my technology has two main abilities: one, healing, and then two, astral traveling. We'll just use the word astral traveling, traveling through dimensions, because all of my technology allows you to go into quantum portals. The quantum portals are now open. And I can't wait to speak to her, because she said today has been just the weirdest day. She was just like, today's been real weird. She can't even speak to me. Because I wanted to share her this story. Because I didn't even share with her the story, which obviously was only part of it because of the reading. She's like, she can't speak to me today because she's just going through too much weirdness. Um, I know that I opened up a portal for her yesterday because I had the technology on. All that time, throughout the whole reason, throughout everything, the technology was on, and she was feeling it, like physically feeling it, like on way. Like I said, I'm new with this technology. Even people that experience this technology, we're not even in double digits yet. I'm still not at the level of double digits yet. So we need to get those numbers up, because yeah, we just need to get those numbers up. So anyway, all in good time, just not my time, in divine time. ETA. All right, cool. So we're going to skip through this one quite quickly, because this is just a furthering of the study, but this is called something called Pascal, Pascal's wager, Pascal's number. She mentioned a guy called Wilson, who I need to get into now. Again, just give me more homework, because we've got the Mount Haru, the scales of Mount Meru. I know about the Pascal triangle. This is called something called the Pascal triangle. It's just how you do adding. Um, I'm not going to get into it, but you can see the Fibonacci sequence here, basically, in Pascal's triangle, just to be clear. So yeah, all right. I'll have more information about this. Basically, this is just further study. So I'm at the start of this journey, and I'm not going to. This basically. So what I've done is, by me coming up with a name, because I don't know if anyone saw my message that I put into the group chat, but obviously I said something around the universe is a mirror, and essentially by me creating this word called vibrology, and then just saying, and then calling myself the general vibrologist in the army of none, 0 point, basically. General vibrologist. I've now called myself into a story, into a game. I've opened up a portal. The quantum portals are now open. But at no point do I know what's going to happen. I'm not a future teller, but there's an undecidability to existence. There is an undecidability to existence. And as long as you can build chaos into your system, you allow yourself the opportunity to win the game of life, in the most nutshell way. You have to build that into your system. And so I'm going to go on a journey, another journey, because vibration, how can vibration not equate to music? The harmony of the spheres. How could it not? So I'm not even going to get into microtonality, but I know it's also another key, because I already read roughly what it's about, and I can see how it fits in exactly to what I need it to fit into. But yeah, I'm not going to get into this stuff. Like, I'm not going to get into this stuff today. This is like the technical work that I will be doing to bring these harmonies, these frequencies, and these patterns together. This is like, yeah, you know, doctors don't need to tell you how to go to be a doctor. If you're interested in this stuff, I'll be able to break it down simply. But right now, I can't break it down like a 5-year old, so I'm not gonna do it. but I just know that this is the key, and you guys can just see. I'm doing a research group, so anytime people want to join my research group, if you want to get involved, let me know. I got work for you. There's bare work to be done. All right, cool. So this though, I didn't put the one in. Yeah, we'll speak about one then. Yeah, so this is basically a guy that basically works on vibration music, coming up with different types of musical scales that are not conventional but make sense from a harmonic perspective. That's all I'll say on it, and I'll speak about it in a second. So we're now going to move into kind of like astrology and how we think about astrology. So what's revolutionized my mind is this new version of astrology that I didn't even know existed until about 3 weeks ago, and it just blew my mind. It was probably like the final nail in the coffin that forced me to go into this. It was probably the final nail in the coffin, like the eighth nail in the coffin, that forced me to be like, "No, you're not taking a piss now. I've got to do it." And so everything is relational. The question that you would have to ask yourself is why 12? Why did we decide to cut it up into 12 for? Yeah. Why did we decide to cut it into 12 or 30 degrees using 30 degrees? Who invented that? Why only 12 star signs? Does anyone know how many star signs there are? Does anyone know how many star signs there are in the, or sorry, how many constellations there are in our solar system that are actually recognized? Yeah, because it's more than 12. I'm just gonna let you know. It's more than 12. I'll tell you the number in a second, but it's more than 12. So why did we just choose 12? Is it because it related to the musical scales? Like which one came first? You know? Um, all I know is that they match up. That 12 number is resonant 12 hours of the day. The two twelves is what, 24 hours in a day. We just had the two twelves. Shout out to people. I got 21 views for the video. Um, at 10:21. Shout out, shout out. So sorry, 10:01. Make sure we're recording this magic. Oh, you can't even see it. Yeah, 10:21. Anyway, let me just show you this. The universe is a joke. What did I say my number was? The number 88. Told you I can't get away from this number 88. I knew this already, by the way. Saying this is an old one I've known. That's one for a couple of years. There are 88. Oh, sorry, you lot can't see it. You think I'm joking. The AI, the IAU, the International Astronomical Union, says there are 88 officially recognized constellations that cover the celestial sphere that are used in the map that are used to map the night sky. So whenever you go to them apps, yeah, there's 40 animals, i.e., 40 archetypes. Just let's be clear on that one. 40 stories. Oh, with more than 40 representing animals. Okay. So half of them are your animal, your lower self, animal self. And then the other half, I'm not even sure, will be made up of other stuff. All with their own unique story. So there's 88 stories. Yeah. How many keys are there on the piano, people? Keys on a full piano. There are 88 keys on a full piano, these are made up of sets of what? 12. There are fewer black keys than white keys on a 88 key piano. What is the ratio? 36 and 52. Do I really need to break this stuff down, people? 52 white keys. White. The scene. The physical reality. It's the season. 52 weeks. We, for some reason, decided to use the seven. Seven planets. Seven chakras. Seven keys. 7 times 52 is 364, i.e., a year. And you got the 3 and the 6, which what? Represent the chaos, the black, the chaos. In Michael Roden's numbers, he says that the 3, 6, 9, and the 1 are the numbers of spirit, the numbers of the ether, the non physical, and that the numbers, the other numbers, of which 5 and 2 would be in, would represent physicality, matter. 30, I mean, I'm literally in 5D. I've not seen this before. I didn't even know this. I knew about the 88 keys. I told you I can't get away from the 88. My full name is 88, just to be clear, if you didn't hear at the beginning. So apologies. The Lion's Gate. The Lion's Gate. Today is an 8 day. 10th for the 7th. Today is an 8 day. Today is an 8 day. So uh yeah, let's get back. So we decided to divide it up in 12 for some strange reason, which obviously relates to time, just to be clear. 12 obviously relates to time. Timing, timing. 1, 2, 1, 2. What? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. So where have I put it? All right. So basically, these intervals, these dynamics, these oppositions, these relationships can be seen here. And what we're basically saying is you can do more things than just divide it up into 12. You can do more than just divide things into 12s. There is no reason why any of these numbers would not form a relationship. Everything is interconnected. So this is where we're going with it. Everything is interconnected, which means why are we limiting ourselves to 12? To a degree, when it comes to a light code lockdown, when it comes to the trapping of the soul, although I don't agree with that as a particular theory, but just we'll run with it for a second. We're saying that the key out of it, I am saying very specifically that in order to break free from the so-called matrix or the Maya, you would have to reduce yourself to a non-number, or in its opposite, allness phase, reduce yourself to all numbers. And in the mastery phase, you do both the 0 and the 1. Mastery, the all and the nothing. Who are you? I am everything and I am nothing. That's a contradiction, bro. Fuck your contradictions. Yeah, I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself. I'm even swearing. So, moments of symmetry. Yo, this guy, yeah, we're gonna go in. What's this guy's name? Wilson. Moments of symmetry. This is old school. I don't know where I've been. Again, I've not really looked into this stuff. I scratched the surface, and we've now went into the rabbit hole. Right now, I'm showing you rabbit hole shit. Moments of symmetry. Everything is relational. Everything is a moment of symmetry. Life is just a series of moments of symmetry, and reducing yourself to only a 12th or a one leaves you in finite space, essentially, leaves you stuck on a particular frequency, not able to get out because we are multidimensional. Hence why everything I do has a level of multidimensionality to it, which allows me to go into the dimension of the 5D as you guys are experiencing right now on this call, or I'm experiencing it, and you guys can choose to believe it or not. One famous mo So I'm not going to go into this too much, but basically, he's saying that we don't need to just divide things into eighths or sevenths or eighths, basically octaves. Like I said, I've met some people that is going to allow me to go deep into this, but I'm not going to get into it. Just, yeah. But yeah, I already got hints at this already. And then this guy, I've just realized, is a genius that's moving with this. So again, and he can divide it into 31 tones of equal division of the octave. So we're taking one octave and we're dividing that octave into a further 31 octaves. We're dividing 8 and we're dividing it by another 32. So at 31 steps, 3 and a 1, the 31. That's what this guy's done. Moments of symmetry. There was actually an image that goes to this moments of symmetry. I don't know why I didn't get that for. I didn't paste that in. I'm not sure why. Ah, there it is. Here you go. So yeah, this is the moment of symmetry. This is what it looks again, and this is just how it's done basically. I'm not going to get into the maths because we're just here for the healing. I'm here for the maths, but this is how it's done. I love whatever he did here. I just loved it because we went to the 722, and anyone that knows 722, we divide 7 by 22, you get pi, or 22 by 7 is pi basically. It's quite funny. So yeah, this is advanced. Like if you want to look into this stuff, I told you, it sounds this guy called Wilson. You just screenshot this stuff. But this is the stuff that I need to learn. This is advanced. All this stuff right here, I will learn. But right now, they're kind of like research documents for myself to go into later. They're not really for now. Why are you doing that for? Ah, this is a beautiful image. I just found this today when I was looking for something. So I've had this image for time. I can't remember how much I counted out. What did I count this up to? I think this was 31. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22. I don't know. I feel like I counted 24 there, but I'm not sure. 24. Anyway, my whole point is that this is a particular frequency, like a cymatic. And so what I'm saying is that this cymatic, I can guarantee you, look, there it is. Beautiful. So when you play 53 hertz, 0.7025, so these are cycles per second. So when you're seeing these cycles per second, you're seeing two dimensions, two things of dimensionality. You're seeing these points here, these lines here of dimensionality, but then you're also seeing the ripples, the oscillations, the ripples, what we call a standing wave. Like when you drop a pebble in the ocean and that creates a frequency. But then it also when you do this, so what I'm basically saying is that this 53 number, whatever divisional chart this relates to, whatever divisions this relates to, it relates to the number 24. So if you were working with this frequency, you would want to do something also with the number 53, but you'd also want to do something with the number 24 if this is 24. You count up yourself. You don't need to be precise, but you get the idea. And if you so could as well, you would count up the ripples, or you would count up the ratio of the ripples, the space between the ratios of the ripples, if it came across clearly, if you were able to do that. So you'd get a code going that way, and you get a code going that way, because there's a cross at each one of this point right here. Right here is a node. That's a node. That's a portal. The sacred cross. Yeah. Four wave mixing. Again, I'm kind of like just going. I'm skipping, but yeah, it's that's kind of that time of the day. And then obviously one of my most favorite ratios ever on the planet. Shout out to Dan Winter. Planck times phi ratio, which is obviously what a lot of my devices are built off of. Throwing you certain other sacred harmonics, which is how you get hydrogen, ATP, and so many other things. When you live in phase, charge collapse, the cause of gravity. I've mentioned this a few times. Shout out to Dan Winter. Why's my mouse not working? There you go. All right, cool. So, this is actually experimental physics, basically. Experimental metaphysics. There you go. So we've got fundamental. So yeah, it's like I've got two studies: fundamental metaphysics, which is the theory, and then the experimental metaphysics, which is the life. And so we're basically saying that I'm going to be doing astrology readings just on a mad level. Like my astrology readings are just going to go up to another level. We're then going to be doing the music to with that links to the astrology, and then we're also going to be doing geometry. Yeah. So you've got light and sound because the geometry will be made through the lights and through the lasers. I'll just let you know that as a hint. So we've got the light and then we've got the sound healing. So this is just another form of me going deeper into light and sound healing. So there is a method to the madness, basically. And this here is how you become coherent within the wave. So this is the biofeedback app, biocoherence. Shout out to biocoherence. Shout out to Mederick and all the people there. Shout out to Dan Winter for coming up with this code that allowed Mederick to then put that into a frequency for how coherent you are as a standing wave, how harmonic your body is. And then shout out to Mederick again for converting all of your energetic frequencies into a musical harmony to show you how harmonic your body is from an energetic perspective. So this allows you to take your body into the quantum realm, i.e., lucid dream or spirit after memory after death. And this allows you to speak to the universe in a way in which it can hear. Let me say that one again. This is an indicator of how energetically harmonic your body is, which allows you to speak into the universe as a coherent standing wave, not a wave of chaos or interference. And yeah, there's this whole bunch of stuff, but essentially, we can see how musical you are. Moment harmony. And in one of my downloads today, when it comes to ratios, is I now am going to start playing with the ratios on your main and alt cycle. And I'm going to turn these into now ratios. And you basically take a ratio by just dividing it, just to be real simple, by the way. So we turn to how we will turn this into a ratio. I just to let you know the steps. So you divide this by this, or whichever two numbers you want to divide first. It's up to you, whatever logic you want to work on. But we divide the main by the alt cycle, really, is what my logic is telling me, or my intuition is telling me. So we divide 9.4, take each one of these two numbers, it doesn't really matter. The ratio should be they should be the same. And then you get whatever number you get from that, and then you convert this number into a sine wave, and you convert this into a sine wave, and then you put that into a oscillator. This is basically how you create these images, just to be clear. And that's how you create these images. I'm just letting you know. There's no secrets here because this work is too much for one person. For me to hold this secret, this ain't even my work. I didn't invent nothing. I've not invented none of these graphs. So there's no need for me to hold any secrets at the end of the day. Like for me, I want you to jump into this because I got ideas that I've not heard anyone mention. But that could just be I've not been in it long enough. But I don't know anyone that's mentioned. Again, there's only about 100 people that are using this app. So people combining that with other stuff. Yeah, who's doing that? And who's converting that into cycles to then work out the geometric to then work out the geometric cycle, the geometric code to the L19. This is your lung, by the way. This is one of your lung meridians. So this is your 19th lung meridian, which is strained. And in order to bring it back into balance, we're going to play the harmonic, we're going to play the frequency, which is obviously pre-programmed into this, but we're also going to play the geometry. Ah, ah, we've got it. We've got it. And are we not? So, all right. So we got another idea, another download. Why would I convert? This is disharmony. So this is showing a strain on your energy and potentially it's not harmonic. So this geometry, I would imagine, may show incoherence, decoherence. So what would be beautiful is to take, so say like someone had a chart and they scanned themselves 50 times. Imagine if I went into their L19 when they were in their healthy state, found out the frequency of what they were vibrating at that day that they were healthy. Remember, everything is encoded in the Akashic records in your DNAs, imprinted somewhere. And then we go play that ratio of when you was harmonic to heal this ratio or this geometry. Anyone want to join my research group, people? I can't do this all myself. Well, I can do that bit myself. But like anyone want to join, like this is a call to arms. So it's a call to arms. I can't express this enough. This is a call to arms. If you're this late into the conversation, this is a call to arms because there is so much work to be done when it comes to busting open these codes, the coding, this shit, encoding. There's so much work to be done, and I need to work with people that are in resonance with this message. Is that my last slide on it? All right, cool. All right, we'll go to something practical. We'll just do two more slides. Let's go to this other note thing. I want to get out of here in a sec. All right, so what is vibrational astrology? So basically, um, there is something called vibrational astrology, which has just blown my socks off. And this is essentially where you don't just look. So everything the universe is relational. Yeah, cool. All right, that's why we're here now. The universe is relational. So anyone that's into astrology knows that there's things called aspects. And aspects, so you may have heard of it, conjunctions, oppositions, and squares. So aspects is when planets are next to each other. Oppositions is when a planet is there and a planet's there. So these dots would represent different planets. When a planet is like this, it's squaring. So a square from an energetic perspective is wave interference. This is the maximum disharmony you can cause is by being a square. Yeah, the most disharmony you can cause, or if you wanted to interrupt a signal, a way in which to do it is to come at it from a 90-degree angle. That is how you butt heads. And we live in square buildings. Let's just be clear, as usual. You never heard that one. So, yeah, I definitely need to go now because I can start getting, I can feel frequencies going through me as I said that. So, and then you've got 150 degrees, which is five, which is like basically five Venus. But it's where you would divide it into a five, or what they call a quantile. A quantile. So, which is a harmonic, which is a good one, by the way. It's a good one. So, if you wanted to speak in plain language, you would say good, bad, bad, good. I have no idea why they don't have a trine here. No idea why they wouldn't have a trine. And then this one is more of them. So there's more of them. But my whole point is that most people only focus on these five aspects. Some people really focus on four because the sextile is still sometimes not really seen as a major one. And then some people focus on that. So what we're basically saying is here, to a degree, on the trine, you're kind of dividing it into threes, or you're looking at the relationship of threes. Yeah. With oppositions, you're looking at the relationship of twos. Yeah, it's all about ratios. We're going somewhere with this. And with squares, you're looking at the relationship of fours. Yeah, because 4 times 90 equals 360. Two times, you see what I mean? And then three times equals 360. So because obviously we're working with the circle, the pi. Yeah, and same and so on and so forth for what they call the minor. So what they're basically saying is that in astrology, they only look at nine aspects, and most people rarely look at, I would say, four main ones. I don't know how sextile jumped in here, but fair enough. So anyway, my whole point is who decided that as a rule that that's all we should look at. If the universe is relational, then everything is moving. So I'm not a master of astrology. Like I said, that I have no right to be doing any of this stuff. But someone said something that just blew my mind, and I knew I would have got there anyway because this is how I was seeing it. But he just put it into words, and he was like, "How you want to look at how you want to look at everything is what I'm trying to do now." Because I said that I got a gift. I said that I got a downloaded gift, and I know I'm going to be able to do this like on another level. I know I'm going to be able to do this really well for my clients who resonate with me because I'm only going to get clients that resonate with me. The universe is relational. It's a mirror. So I know I'm going to be able to do this really well, which is what I now believe which is what I now believe astrology is really about, is understanding the song that is being played from a holistic perspective, looking at the relationship of the whole, looking at the allness, as opposed to dividing it back and we go, okay, we've got this opposition here and then this thing here, and then I want to be able to intuitively look at all of it. And I'm not there yet because I ain't even tried. But I'm just saying this is an aspiration. This is a desire of mine. I desire everything. Is to be able to look at it and work out the story. Two things: work out the story and work out the hum, the song, or the tone, the signature tone, and then also the song. This is actually going to go into practical healing devices, by the way, and practical ways of doing divination, just to be real specific. Like, this is not just a metaphysical exploration. This is a real practical, tangible thing, but it's going to take a little bit of time for me to get there. Anyone want to come for a reading? Be a test, be a guinea pig? Give me a shout out. So Look, if the universe, look, I just saw this today. I told you, 5D today. Today's a 5D day. If the universe is vibe, ratio, n equals infinity, by the way, just to be clear, or any number in a nutshell, i.e., infinity. All is L is God, Allah, yeah. Vibe, the ratio of infinity to God. How do we vibe? We vibe by understanding the ratios of infinity, the infinite ratios of God, resonating with the infinite, resonating with the infinite harmonics, harmony of God, of the all. So whenever I see vibrational, that's what I see. That is my new interpretation. Thank you very much for that. Resonating with the infinite harmony of the all. Vibrational equals. Yeah, all right, cool. Of the all. So then what I was saying is, why do we then only focus on 4 to 5 relationships? This is basically what I'm saying. So yeah, this is just another way of cutting it up. So when you cut it up again, we're looking at it from a music perspective, theory of how harmonies create the signs of the zodiac. So this is going into vibrational astrology, where you basically take, where you cut up the I haven't even said it, sorry, vibrational astrology or harmonic astrology. There are books on this, but it's quite a niche area of astrology. But I believe it's going to be the future of astrology. It's definitely the future of my astrology anyway, my corner of the world. Is where you basically allow yourself to cut up the, you give yourself the license to cut up the astrological chart into an infinite number of degrees, and definitely at least 32, which is what most people, which is what this guy is mapped out to, 32. But you can do more. You can map it out to 100, 200. You can even map it out to 500. Like you can do an infinite number. Um, so again, what we're basically saying is imagine 12 or just imagine a 6. So in the two aspect, you would then map it out to, you would then break it down into its twos. So what that basically means is that the things that are, so what is in opposition in your natal chart, yeah, would become conjunct. So remember what we're talking about in the language, yeah? So what was opposite in your natal chart, if you divided it into two, it would then become conjunct. We'll do that again. In your fourth, if you wanted to look at the fourth harmonic of your chart, the fourth harmonic of your chart, what would become square would then become conjunct, so on and so forth. So we'll do the last one. What was a fifth? 5, 5 of 12. Yeah, so 5, Venus. Yeah. So if you want to look into your fifth harmonic, which is about creativity, so basically the way it works essentially is that when you're looking at your second harmonic chart, you're looking at your chart from a perspective of oppositions. It's calling out all of the oppositions within your chart. When you're looking at a fourth harmonic chart, you're looking at your squares, the relationship of your squares, and everything then is broken down into squares. So you would have 1/4 of a square, 2/4 of a square, 3/4 of a square, so on and so forth. When you're looking at your fifth harmonic, again, so anything that was 2/5 of a square, sorry, 2/5 of a pentagram or of a fifth would then show up as a relationship, as a line. Yeah. So hopefully you lot understand this. I might even just go to Astro thing and just show it to you lot quickly. But essentially that's how it works. And you can do this ad infinitum, but classically the people who have mapped it out really well, they go up to the first 12 obviously is just classical because we can understand the meaning. So we take our meanings then from the aspects and also from the houses or the star signs basically in terms of like what those houses each mean basically. So essentially we're saying that you would have 12 harmonics. And then really I would say you should go up to the number 36 because then the 36 would be a 12th, an octave up from the 12th harmonic because 12 times 3 is 36. So that 36 number becomes what happens when you combine a 12 chart with a 3 chart. Or the fifth number becomes, when we remember when we talk about the perfect fifth, the fifth was 3/2. So the perfect fifth chart also is what happens when you look at the 2 and you look at the 3 chart, i.e. a trine and a opposition. So what is the dynamic of a trine and an opposition? That would tell you about the dynamic of the fifth chart. But then you've also got the fifth house interpretation. So there's two ways of interpreting it. You can interpret from a geometry, from a number perspective, and then you can also um, break it down from a house perspective, just a traditional house perspective. And then there's a third way as well, which is empirical astrology, where you just look at people's birth charts and you go on evidence and you look at, okay, cool, I'm going to look at the 18th chart of all musicians. Do I see any resemblance that make up these people to make them musicians? Because I can't see it in the first chart. This is empirical astrology, which is another type of astrology, but you can apply that retrospectively through databases, basically. This is like another thing I'm looking into. So, yeah. So that's basically that for astrology. Um, yeah, and this is me just talking about two different ways of reading charts. Like I said, you've got this empirical evidence where you go off of evidence. Basically, you should be able to see patterns. So if I look at 2000 charts, I should be able to see patterns in those 2000 charts that resemble what's read in books. Otherwise, what's the point of me reading a book if it doesn't relate to what I'm seeing with my eyes? So there should be there needs to be, if astrology works how it's supposed to work, it shouldn't just be all intuition based. It should be also empirically proven with large enough data sets. And so there are people that study large data sets and drill down. It's just another area of astrology that I've been getting into. And luckily, some of these people are also into harmonic astrology and are realizing that the birth chart, when just looked at its whole based on the 12th, based on the 12 vibration, does not tell the full story. Just to be clear, again, for the people at the back that are still here and still awake, we're basically saying that we're basically saying that when you look at the natal chart, you are just looking at it from one dimension. I feel like I'm going to pull this up real time actually. So let's pull this up real time and then we'll get out of it after this. We'll wrap it up. So this is my favorite website for astrology. So my birth chart one. I don't want my transits. Let's just go. Do you have it here? Harmonic. Harmonic. Please, I don't know. Let me see this. Vibration. No. Let's go back to harmonic astrology. There you go. All right, cool. So I will just do me. So quite honestly, I've not really even delved into my one too much. Like I've got homework to do for myself. Um, all right. So basically, again, so I'll just talk through what we're trying to do in harmonic astrology. What we're basically trying to do is we're trying to look at where you're going to have certain clusters. So look, right now, this chart, they allow you to go up to the whole 360 degrees. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to do 1 to 36. Like when you get into these higher numbers, you just basically add smaller charts into one chart to kind of understand the vibration, the higher the octave up, basically. But let's just say you could just know 36 and that will allow you to know all of the rest, probably even less than that. So anyway, my whole point is that what you're looking to do, and there is software that allows you to do this, but I'm no need to pay £600 to get this software. Sorry, I think I'd have to pay £700 to get this software where it will already work out the harmonics that are most interesting for your particular based on your birth chart. So there's apps that can do that. I just don't want to pay £700 for it for the pleasure. So right now you can kind of manually do it by looking at the first nine, essentially. I think first 12. So we're just gonna go into the ninth harmonic. So I'm a Sagittarius rising. I'm a Sagittarius as well sun sign. I got quite a few Sag. So we're going to look at the Sagittarius. And so the Sagittarius, and in my notes, we'll go to, let's put it up here. Oh, God, blimey, I didn't put it up here. Then, oh my God, please. Where are you? Ah, there we go. Meanings 1 to 32. All right, cool. So look, we look at the ninth harmonic. Yeah, so we're going to look at the ninth harmonic. So the ninth harmonic or nova is linked to fruition, the fruits of the tree. Adi calls it. This Adi guy is a guy that basically invented this thing called harmonic astrology, which came out in 1972 or 77, 77, I think. And it's basically also, so basically there's two interpretations. One is the classical interpretation, which is based on harmonic astrology. And then there's this other guy that's invented, who's still alive now, who's invented this thing called vibrational astrology. He just didn't like the word harmonic, basically. But he basically took this guy's stuff and just added some stuff to it. So this is the empirical guy. He looks at the evidence, and when he was looking at everyone's math harmonic chart, he noticed how it related to community. And number nine is the number of harmony as well, by the way, which obviously relates to community. So yeah, I would say this relates more to your numerological understanding of the number nine is what this is more about. But then you've also got the teaching aspect as well. So it's the realization of our soul through service. It also hints at midlife completion cycles, which is really relevant for myself because I'm at my midlife. So they say. So this chart could be quite revealing for me now, based on what's going on now, based on my age. And so what we can see here is a strong trine. So you can see we're going from the third to the first. And so when you get good at this, obviously, of which I'm not, when you get good at this, you'll be able to work out at what interval this is. So I'm just going to guess that the shortest one would be 1/9. So this is probably like your 1/9. And then this one might be your second ninth. I actually don't think I've got any one nines. I feel like this is going to be short, longer than one nine. I don't know if you can understand what I'm talking about, but it's how it's cut up basically. So we've cut this chart up into nine instead of 12. And so what I'm trying to look at, so some of these relationships will be one ninth of a relationship, two ninths of a relationship, three ninths of a relationship. Again, all of these relationships can be converted into ratios, frequencies, and harmonics. By the way, just to be clear, this is where we're going to be going with this stuff in the future. So look at the clusters here. So the biggest cluster here is what you can see here. So the darkest line. So basically, essentially, you're looking for the darkest lines. That's essentially what you're looking for. And in my Scorpio, I've got my Sun and Mars in Scorpio on the cusp. And then on the cusp, I can't even tell where that is. It looks like it's in Sagittarius, but it's close enough to be causing a strong harmonic relationship. And my Mars in the third house. So the house of communication. So your third house is your house of communication. And then this is your eighth house, or basically your eighth. So we're basically saying that Scorpio, which is about rebirth, transformation, yeah, it's basically saying that I activate my transformation by being seen. So me being seen, my sun sign, they have slightly different interpretations as well, the planets in harmonic astrology, like slightly different. Again, I've not mapped it fully all out, but it's just, again, it's a work in progress. But you just take the traditional sun. It's basically about being seen. I remember I've listened to what he was saying. It's about basically being seen. And in my action, so me being seen in action, my visible work, my physical work, you could even say my physical work, because the moon would represent your spirit, your unseen work. So my physical work that I do on a day-to-day basis is based on having conversations around transformation and rebirth. This is what it's saying. You can only see this when looking into the ninth harmonic. And this ninth harmonic, again, if we go back to it, is how I show up in the world about what? Teaching. Teaching a community. I'm actually going to say, I ain't going to lie here, to be complete disclosure, this is the first time I've looked at my chart on harmonic astrology. I've just been looking at everyone else's charts and I haven't even had time to look at my own chart and do my own reading on myself. But for some reason, I went to the number nine. Who knows why? I went to the number nine and I've got an absolute humdinger that I've not seen before in my birth chart. It's showing me that I came down here. My sense of belonging and community comes from teaching and realizing the soul through acts of service. You can't get more acts of service than your Mars. So even certain harmonics would bring focus to certain planets more than others. And I'm saying this, I haven't read the books yet. There's a whole bunch of, I got, like I said, I got a whole lifetime worth of study, or at least a while. And I'm saying that this ninth harmonic, you would have to look at the Mars aspect. You would have to look at Mars. And then you would have to look at Jupiter, I would say. You'd have to look at Jupiter, I would say. And look, on the ninth harmonic, look at that. Look at that, people. On the ninth harmonic, my Jupiter, yeah, is trining. Remember, the nines is a trine. The nines are trines, yeah, just to be clear. So we've got the equilateral triangle, the trine, that trines to the Mars and the Sun in Jupiter. You don't even need to look at the houses. Like the houses are less so. It's more about the heart relationship. I mean, you can look at it all in fairness, but most people, the first definitely is the planet relationship, then the sign planets, and then the houses in that order. It's mainly the planets that you're looking at because obviously people do a lot of work. It's like a lot of work to look through lots of charts and stuff. So you could be there for hours if you wanted to be. But my Jupiter trines a harmony, by the way, harmonics, powerful, powerful harmonic. So the powerful harmonic of my Jupiter working with my Mars and my Sun, which then trines with. So there is a holy trine. I know there's an astrological name for this, but I'm just going to call it a trine of a trine in the nine, and 3 times 3 equals 9. So that would be the most important relationship to look at. And my Jupiter and my Saturn are working together to, I would say, bring forth the Mars, and these two are balancing. These are balancing each other out. Yes, this is quite mind blowing. Obviously, I do spiritual teaching. And what have I been saying? I need people to join my research group. I'm trying to get a community building. I just don't have the consistency to build this community right now. How do I access, if possible, this page with all the graphs? Oh, yo, what's the website called, brother? Oh, my bad. I just seen the chat. Yo, yeah, I've been so in it. I ain't even looked at the chat once. I haven't looked at the chat. I know it's because there's not a lot of people watching as well, by the way. So I've not been looking at the chat. Chat's not really been popping off today. So I have to be focused. Apologies. Yeah. Asmo plugins. How do I access, if possible, the page with all the graphs? What is the website called? Yeah. So this is just my personal, as I said, my personal library of information. This is my world. So there's like 1,000 notes in here. And so these are just my personal notes that I make, that I use for my own research purposes. At some point, I'm supposed to be coming up with a Substack and doing a newsletter where I would release this kind of information. So I would, especially if I'm doing like slideshows, I would just release it online. I'm not really trying to here to hold information for me. I want to just give this stuff away for free at some point. And if I get big enough, I might put it behind a paywall. But, you know, there's other services I charge for that I don't really feel like I want to charge for information right now. Just not really in the mood to. So, yeah, if you want to hit me up at my email, and you can, and I'll email you the slides. I'll just email you the PDF of it. It's no problem. All right, so you can email me at Leon. What's my Gmail again? Leon Noble. Is that Noble at gmail.com. All right, cool. Yeah, and just say slides, yeah? See, I don't know if you've gone now or if you're still on the chat, but basically that's how you do it. So, bada bum bum bum. Where am I? Yeah, I'm kind of finishing up actually now. I'm kind of finishing up. I'm basically finishing up. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of research to do. So I would actually say that this ninth harmonic chart would score quite low in terms of what I should be focusing on. So there's not enough. What you're looking for is basically where do you have the most conjunctions? Where do you have the most conjunctions and strong relationships as well? So there's two parts. There's two ways to assess a harmonic chart. One, by looking at where your conjunctions are within that chart, because the conjunctions are what has brought this together. It's only the nine that is bringing these together. I know you can say that for all of them, but basically it's the nines that brings this together. The division of the nines that brings this into conjunction. If you remember how I explain it, and then just where these dark lines are. So the darker they are, the more relationships there are, the more stronger the relationships are, basically. So what you want to do is you want to kind of look at all of your charts. How do we, what's going on there? Let's get rid of this. Yeah, so you'd basically go through 1 to 9 or 1 to 12 at the very least, and you'd look at all of your different relationships. You might get this up. This is just a PDF I got offline, by the way. The guy done this for free online. So again, I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper to information that's free, basically. So yeah, if you want me to send you the link, I can just send you the link to it. But I can't remember where I got it. Just put in 1 to 32 harmonics, and you'll get it. It's a free PDF somewhere. There's like quite a few people are doing it. So yeah, you kind of want to just see the relationships and see the conjunctions. Those are the two main ways to do it. And then obviously the closer the relationships, the stronger. So my sun in my seventh chart, my communication with my sun is real strong. Um, I don't really have any conjunctions in my seventh chart, so I'm not really that interested in it, quite honestly. So in my eighth chart, even less so in my seventh chart. There's nothing really going on there. Do you see what I mean? So it's not really taking me that long. I'm gonna bounce soon because obviously you could just be here all day. So you could see like there could be difficulty in this chart because obviously red is not great. So you could see difficulty in this in my what is it? What chart is this? I think this is we're on fifth now. In my sixth chart of health, related to health. And then your fifth and my sixth chart, nothing's really going on here. Do you see what I mean? Look, no dark lines here. I'm not really interested in this chart. I could be if I wanted to. You can interest yourself whenever, wherever you want to, but there's just not much going on there. So that ninth chart was actually a real strong chart for me. Because I didn't realize at the time because I'm doing this for the first time. But that ninth chart was a really strong chart for me. The second chart is a strong chart for me, just in terms of how clear that is as a harmonic look. We've got this lovely group in there. So look, you can see how strong your charts are. And you can see that my first chart is not my most powerful chart. Do you see what I mean? I'd actually say my ninth chart, I think I got lucky. I'd actually say my ninth chart clearly. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Like clearly my ninth chart is my most powerful chart from what I've looked at. So again, we just get lucky with this stuff. And I want to now go to my 99th chart. I'm not sure why it's 40. But it should be a strong chart. It's a multiply, so it's a harmonic, isn't it, of the ninth. So then your higher octave of that ninth should be a pretty strong chart. And again, we're seeing it as a pretty strong chart as well. And then how could we not finish on the 88th? It's number for the day, obviously. And so in my 88th chart, which would represent my eights, we've got the moon and Jupiter. We've got moon and Jupiter. So yeah, I mean, I can actually read some of this stuff. Like I could read it, but I'm not as yeah. It's just like, all right, cool. So yeah, we're about to get out of it. Um, hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope everyone was got some light, got their soul fed to at least a degree, at least 1 degree. We just need 1.1 degree to basically make the magic happen because 1.1 degree is the magic angle. I think I've already mentioned this once or twice, but 1.1 degrees is the magic angle. So we don't need much movement to make magic happen. 1.1 degrees is the magic angle. Go check it out. Go Google that. So if I could inspire you by just 1 degree, give you a 1 degree shift in the right direction back into coherence, then my job is done. And if it's 1.1 degree, then yo, we won. We won out here. So yeah, I'm gonna be signing off. In the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be releasing a calendar. I'm actually going to release it. I've been talking about this. I've been talking about it for about 2 years. That I've, I work on this Omni calendar, multi calendar system. So my New Year's is coming up in 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks to the day. 2 weeks, 2 weeks on Friday. So my calendar resets in 2 weeks' time, and I'm going to be releasing the calendar for anyone that joins my research group, basically, because the calendar is really important because obviously it's how we're gonna ETA estimate time, the times of arrival intervals. So yeah, that's gonna be happening in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do a video on a calendar probably in 2 weeks' time to launch it. I don't know what I'm doing next week, but it will be something in between the calendar and something in between what we were speaking about today. That's probably what would happen. So it would just be a continuation of the conversation. Um, and yeah, thanks to everyone for watching this video. Any questions, hit them or put them in the chat. I do read every chat. I do read every comment. And if you want to email me, I'll put my email in the chat. It's leonnoble@gmail.com. If you want any readings, hit me up on the same email. In my YouTube channel, I do have my Linktree link, and that does link to all the stuff that I do. Basically, Linktree is my hub of where all my stuff is. I've also got a website as well, soulno.com. That's SOULGNO.com with my three main brands, the Wellness Center, the readings, and also the business to business stuff. So anyone that's got any business ideas, anyone that owns a business, has a business, and wants marketing and consultancy from a marketing perspective, but looking at it through the lens of everything that I do, it's basically, which is basically next level. And I haven't got many clients, so I'm just building it back up. Everything I'm just building from like the ground zero to a degree. So I'm looking for clients, um, and that's just because I just want to see some more magic happen and help some people as well. Why not, man? Let's have some fun, help some people. So yeah, with that, we're signing off. Peace and love, peace and love, peace, peace, peace. Until the next time, stay in divine time.